change inside of me. The inner human slowly dead in me. I feel it come alive. The darkness brings me light. There ain't no stopping it, and you will never hide from me. Pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. Sad to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. Sad to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. I'm still inside. I'm still here. What have I done? When did this all start? I have become a monster in the dark. A hunger like no other. Running on instinct. What's this creature? Always inside of me. The pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. Sad to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. Sad to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. Whoa. You better hope so too. Whoa. You better hope so too.
A dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the seven seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. A sinister grin across his face said, you'll be doomed to this place. The devil heard my oath, shame of my boast. Oh, a ghostly ship from the depths, freedom from fear is the only gift of death. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must stow. sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. If you cast your eyes, you'll join us like those before. We're an omen of the ocean night. When you see the flying Dutchman, it's too late for your soul. To the waters we gave now our breath. Yo, ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean wind blow.
Light that brings out. In the dark you hear a growl. Monsters in the night, unnatural appetite. A demon sent me here to take you to the afterlife. I feel something change inside of me. The inner human slowly dead in me. I feel it come alive. The darkness brings me light. There ain't no stopping it, and you will never hide from me. Pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. It's time to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. It's time to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. I'm still inside. I'm still here. What have I done? When did this all start? I have become a monster in the dark. A hunger like no other. Running on instinct. What's this creature? Always inside of me. The pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. It's time to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. It's time to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, shape-shifting in the night, stalking you. Does my face seem familiar? Does my back feel you more? Will I change you or will it end you? And the power that I have can give you eternal life. Death doesn't know me. I become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness.
All right. Sorry about cutting the song short, but we got things to do. Right? Rather hear me talk or you want to hear a song about vampires? Up to you. Can't have it all. Can't have it all. If you have too much, they'll take it from you. They'll come after you. So, and speaking of people coming after me, here's the funny thing. All right, so I get this message today. So I don't know who Vampire J is, but apparently Vampire J says he's coming. He's like, I'm coming for you, Vampire J. So I told Vampire J, I said, stand in line. Co-host or host of Paranormal Roundtable. So Vampire J's coming for me, guys. I'm scared. Pretty soon Bigfoot will be messaging me too, telling me you need to knock it off. I don't know that he would talk like that. That's how I would think that Bigfoot would talk. I don't know if he talks that way. I can't prove it. I just know that if I was Bigfoot, that's probably how I would talk. The thing about, if I was Bigfoot though, I would bathe. Because they can smell you from like miles away. So, Mickey G, look at this. This is sad. This is so sad, Mickey G. Won't be here long. Goofy work tomorrow. Mickey, we hope that you get your priorities straight, lady. All right? Make up your mind. Work or us? I'm kidding, folks. Mickey's wonderful. She's a wonderful person. She's been around for a long time, listening to us sit up here and yak. Tonight is the first night of the giveaways for the hoodies. Okay, but if you get picked tonight, we won't be mailing off until the end of next week. I know that sucks, but that's how it's going to have to be, because we have to cut it off so we can get all of the, because we have Tony and Maddie doing the mail offs. You don't want to confuse these people. Okay, not really so much Maddie, but Tony. You have to talk really. You got to be very, and people have. Like one Patreon member, he got a shirt. He's like, thanks, but this isn't my swag bag. This isn't what I was supposed to get. And another person got that person's swag bag. So thank you, Tony. But the listener was like, hey, should I send it back? I said, no, congratulations. You got a free swag bag because Tony is, he's Tony. That's how it goes. So I'm probably going to have to come to town so that I can get it done right here. Anthony's like, yeah, we got to come to town and do it. I said, yep. Because otherwise, no telling what people will get or not get. So this was not an impromptu thing. This is a Wednesday night stream. So we had to pick days that we wanted to do it. So Tuesday is going to be, let me make sure I got this right. Let's go from the beginning of the week. We're not doing anything Monday. But then Tuesday will be, and I think that this is the schedule, right, Anthony? We agreed on Tuesday will be a pre-record. Wednesday will be the live stream.
Uh-huh.
Friday will be a live stream with a guest.
Yep.
And Sunday will be the flagship show that everybody always expects.
Yeah.
This past Sunday, I think the final number somebody told me was 782. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had a listener she's pretty she pays attention to everything, and she's a big YouTuber, likes to run numbers and things like that. And she said, I'm going to get my hat right here. She said that of anybody who's got under 50,000 subscribers, we have the largest chat. So we've gotten the largest number of people. We get the largest chat consistently.
Yeah, I'm probably because I've seen channels with like, there was one in particular with like 3.3 million subscribers. It was a Star Wars channel. It's a similar channel, but like when that guy went live on his live stream, he got like.
Was that Star Wars Theory?
Yeah.
I love that. I just haven't been able to watch much of it, but I've seen a few of them.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I like his channel, but I was watching a clip of one of his live streams, and he had like 1,600 people in there, which is surprising because it's like barely over twice what we get. So, and his channel is like over 10 times bigger than ours. So,
couple of comments here, real quick, while we're waiting for the chat to fill up. Zara Gonzalez, have you won before, Zara? Because if you haven't, then you win. How about that? You'll be the first winner for the night of the hoodies. Okay. Let me know in the chat in the comments if you want to join and be in the giveaway. Put your name in green. How you put your name in green is just by paying $5, and then you become a member, because we don't do what's it called for the lives there. We don't put anything behind a paywall, right?
yeah.
Also, let's see. Hold on. So Zara Gonzalez says no, sir. So no, sir, you don't want to win, or no, sir, you haven't won. Zara, if you haven't won, just say, hey, I haven't won. Turn around. Every now and then I get stalked by Dogman. I poop my pants. Turn around, I shine. I heard that song the other day, and I was listening to a witness talk, and well, I would say he or she was both. There was a man and a woman, and that song was playing in the background, and I heard the guy say, "Hey, can you turn it down?" I guess it was his daughter, and what they were talking about was pretty creepy. I was thinking of the lyrics, "Turn around, I shine." It was a Bigfoot story, but it was pretty good. So DN Ashit says, Josh, are you ever going to do call-ins? Yes, we did them. We did call-ins. We did them for about
we did a bunch of
month and a half
live stream call-in shows.
A month and a half, and we had people call in. Why do you want to call in and give us a story? Because that's fine. There's a bunch of people, and they always say the same thing. Well, I gave you my story, through email, and you didn't get to it. Ton of stories. I mean, folks, I can't even tell you. And now I'm really upset because there's one. I'm gonna mention this again later in the show. Later in the show, but here's the thing. There was a comment. I believe it was a comment, but I get stories from Instagram. I get stories from comments. I get stories from people that I meet in the groups. I get stories from word of mouth. I get a lot of those. I get stories from the different groups that I'm in, our groups. I get stories on my messenger. I get stories on 2 different email addresses, the DasWolf88 at gmail.com, DasWolfman88 at gmail.com. Then I get PRT Podcast, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. That's the main one now. But we get stories everywhere. And now you got to realize something too. We need to fix this because we have like 3 or 4 different Paranormal Roundtable pages on Facebook. And I checked one that hadn't been checked in months. And I counted about 80 stories in there. I just went through, started counting. 80 people who either had stories or they put the story in there. And I'm like, we don't even look at that. But we are starting to look at all of it now. we have more people now to help us and do things. And Nellie's been really getting after it and getting and doing stuff. And let me tell you something, folks. The vampire book, I'm going to be getting right toward, I'm getting closer and closer. I am going to be going and speaking at the Symposium of the Strange on January 29th. I don't care. People are making threats and saying crazy stuff. I don't think you want to do that, folks. Don't, whoever you are, and you know who you are, you're not going to want to be there. Trust me. Okay. So I don't know what you think you're doing by making these threats, but it's not going to work out for you. Okay. I promise you that. Don't try it. It's not going to work. And you're not going to run me off and make me be afraid. I don't live my life in fear. Okay. Better people than you have tried to do things to me. Okay. Trust me. Yeah. I have a past and people have done a lot of stupid things. So we're not going to get into it, but don't throw yourself away like that. It'd be very foolhardy on your part. Not that these people have any kind of mental capacity to comprehend, but if you have anything at all, you might want to knock it off. Well, Andres, you need to give me that information, or you need to come on the show and tell it, or however you want to do it. You lived in a small town haunted house? Yeah. There you go. There's more. Yeah. Mickey G says she did a call-in a year and a half ago. Yeah, we've done call-ins, a lot of them. We've shot from the hip and just said, hey, you know what? Let's just have people come on and tell stories. I mean, I look at it like this. I don't think these people they're crazy and they're stupid, but they're cowards too. They want to be with a bunch of people to do this. They can't, Yeah. They're not going to go over there by themselves and do it. And trust me, I'm going to defend myself.
Like hyenas.
They like to hang around in a group and cry and claim that we're attacking them. Still doing it too. We ain't said nothing. We don't care. You're going to sue me. Please do, so we can get it over with.
We're just hanging out in the lion's den, and hyenas never go there alone, do they?
No. Thank you, Mickey. She says Josh is easy to talk to. I think I'm fun to talk to. My witnesses up in Washington they were telling about the Bigfoot story they had, which was terrifying. Their daughter was a little kid, and it was crazy. I mean, it was. I don't even want to. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's. Yeah, I can't imagine. So you're there grilling, and your daughter brings a friend, comes back with her. It's like, yeah, it was a crazy story. It wasn't as bad as someone like Brendan's story. Brendan, the one that gave us one about the Bigfoot attacking his house. So, but it was, But tonight we're talking about Dogman. We're back to our roots. This is Dogman Week. We're going to start doing this once a year, like Shark Week. We're just going to do Dogman Week, and I think we should make it a January thing, like start off the year. With Dogman.
Start off strong.
Yeah, Dogman.
Dogman always gets a lot of traction.
And we get so many stories. We're one of a handful of people that are you're the Dogman people.
Yeah.
And that's what the symposium is going to be about on the 29th. If you're anywhere around Austin, or any around Texas, go to San Antonio. The Magic Time Machine. Look it up. It's going to be the Symposium of the Strange. I'm going to be talking there. And, I'll bring some merch. So whoever's there, and bring my books. And we're going to bring a box of each book. But hopefully the vampire book's going to be done. And Nellie is making a lot of progress. We're writing a book together. And she's been typing away. And it is about the dark side of music. But there's so much to talk about on that subject. So we're thinking maybe it's going to be the dark side of music. The 27 Club is going to be the very prominent thing. Maybe we'll do more, down the road, but that's going to be the opener right there. It's a weird thing. I could sit here and talk about that all day long, all the weird stuff about those people dying at the age of 27, starting with Robert Johnson.
Why 27? There's got to be some kind of numerological thing behind that.
Yeah, because 9 is the final number.
Yeah.
People think that there's 10, 11, whatever. No, there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are no other numerals.
Yeah, it's
You can
it's a
make,
base 10 system.
yeah, everything is based on those particular numbers. You can put any number you want, but you have to use one of those 10 numbers. And so it's 0 through 9. 9 is the finality. It's the final number. And it is the master number. Now, the only time, now let me get this about numerology. Let me explain something to you. 11 is a master number if it ends the way it ends with 1, 1. If it ends in 2 plus 9, that is not a master number. If it ends 1 plus 1, then that's 11. You can say 11.
Mhm.
But 2 typically that's 2. But some people, there are 2 and some people are 11. No, there's a difference. 11 is also not widely accepted throughout numerology because numerology is found in nearly ancient culture, every ancient culture on earth. The Sumerians, the Hebrews, the Arabs, pretty much every culture in the Levant, the Chinese, the Japanese, the people from India, every province of India, right? Every
Mhm.
one of them. And just about every European country, the history goes way back to numerology. You look at the ancient Mesoamericans, the Incans, the Mayans, the Aztecs, Zapotecs, Toltecs, Mixtecs.
Yeah.
They all followed numbers, and people are like, because it says ology at the end, they're like, oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
evil stuff and magic and shit like that. I don't do that, man. Get out here with all that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw my monkey poo at you.
I mean, I think it's something that's just kind of naturally ingrained in the human mind because I remember when I was a kid coming up with the pattern for the Fibonacci sequence. I mean,
Oh yeah.
just like for fun,
Mhm.
you know, because I just kind of wrote down on a piece of paper, like, I wonder what happens if you take numbers 1 through 9 and you just add each one consecutively. And I had no idea what the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, the golden rectangle, like all those are connected, you know, and a phi, like it's all part of the same thing. But like I just did that when I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I just got curious and was like, I bet you there's something to this. If I add up these numbers, there's gonna be some kind of pattern, and I want to see what it is. And this is a little child's mind. You know?
Phi is so important.
Yeah.
Phi is like, I always thought it was ridiculous because I don't think Einstein was, I think he was very smart,
Hmm.
but he was not as smart as everybody thinks he is. There's a lot of people right now walking around with IQs as high as his. So my IQ is extremely high. I don't want to even say it because people will be like, oh, he's bragging again. He's bragging. This guy's talking about how he has a belly button and 2 nipples. This crazy guy. Telling him he's normal. Get out of here, stupid guy. Hate you, stupid man. Somebody sent a thing on the message on the comment section. I was looking at it today, which is just trying to be nice and say hi to some people, whatever. Very, very busy. And this one person was just so rude. I mean, they were like, you need to quit talking about yourself, And this was on the hour-long podcast episode. Anthony had a good point about that. These people want the podcast episode and the live streams to be the same thing.
Yeah, which if they're the same thing, then what's the point of doing this? Like if the live stream is going to be the same as the podcast, then what's the point of doing the live stream?
Yeah, what's the point?
I mean, if you want to get straight into the stories and all that stuff, then that's what the podcast episodes are for. And you can skip the first 5 minutes or so when we're doing the introductory stuff and just go do that. Like maybe the live stream is not for you, and that's okay. If you just want to hear shotgun stories one after another, that's fine. And you can consume this show in that way. But if you're joining a live stream live and complaining like, oh, this isn't like story after story, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's like going into a butcher shop and complaining that there's meat all over the place. Like, you walked in here, dude. I mean, I don't know what you don't like the smell of raw meat, then don't come in. It's I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like, use your head before your mouth a little bit. It'll make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, and we do the best we can. One of the things we got to do, which is tonight, now we have enough people on here to start talking. And if somebody's always late, then they say, I didn't get to catch it all. And I go, well, you got to go back and watch it because we got things to do. We got to rock and roll, folks. Okay. So we got to get started, and here's what we got to do. I'm going to start with this one. Okay. This is all about Dogman tonight. Thank you for that donation, Joe 2 Pops. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. This one was very interesting to me because it involved, well, how do I start this? There was a lot to unwrap here, but only so much to talk about. And somebody, whenever you talk about somebody's hometown or a place and they hear the episode, they tell people, and someone says, hey, I've had something happen, and they'll get back with you. Well, that's what happened here. We talked about Waxahachie on the show, right? So this person said, hey, I grew up near Waxahachie. I lived out in the country and went to school there. Guy's name was Mitch. He said, and so he said, look, I'm gonna reach out to you. This person is a little older than me, but their son had an encounter. He used to work at a convenience store. Him and his girlfriend worked together, which was cool. I mean, that'd be cool. You just go to work, you ride together, whatever. Because like me and Nellie, like working with Nellie. I mean, I like working with Nellie. Some people are like, I don't want to work with my wife or my girlfriend. I'll get the hell away from her. I like being around my wife, so it's not a big deal. But like, so they were working together, and his girlfriend would go out the back to take out the trash. She had a terrible habit of vaping. The devil's juice, as I call it. So she's out. So she goes out in the back to vape. So I get in touch with this guy, and his name is Mitch, not the dad. I've said the dad's name, but the dad, he's like his ex-wife. Now his ex-wife listens to the show, and she got in touch with him. Here's the cool thing: they still get along. They're not best friends, but they're cordial. And they've both since remarried. But she moved to a town. God, what's the name of the town? It's right outside of Waco. It's not important. She moved to another town, but they're still friends. And he said, so I was living outside of Waxahachie in a small community. And he said that my son was working at a gas station there, like off the highway. And he said that this is weird because, and like I said, there's a lot to unwrap here. Now we're going to start right here, and we're going to kind of go back and then go forward again, right? So his girlfriend, Carla, she goes out the back to vape, right? And Mitch is in the store. And he said it was slow. It was about 3 or 4, took out the trash, whatever, and they're doing their nightly duties. There's a 2-man team there. It's a pretty busy store typically, but sometimes there's like a real lull. He says between 3 and 5, it kind of gets like there's like a lull there, and then it picks up about 4:35, And he said that she didn't come back in. So he says, and this is weird, right? So he goes out to the back to look for her after about half an hour. She's not back inside. So he thought maybe she's out there talking on the phone. And it wasn't like it was cold outside or anything. It was spring, so it wasn't a big deal. And then Mitch had this weird feeling. He says, dude, I got this weird hotness over my chest and my neck. So when I asked him, I said, is that something that normally happens to you? And he doesn't listen to the show, watch the show. He does now. Didn't watch the show. So he didn't really understand what was going on, the things that were happening. Can you tell him I'm on the air? That's my uncle. So he didn't really know what was going on. He didn't understand what was happening to him. So there are people who literally get this warmth, whatever, but they are very intuitive people. A lot of times are psychic. So we'll get to that in a minute. So I told him, I said, man, are you sure you're not psychic? He goes, maybe. But he got this weird feeling. He said, my hands were sweating and I thought something was wrong. So I go out the back and I look. And my girlfriend is nowhere to be seen. And he goes, and so I propped the door open because if you close it all the way, and he was shocked to find it closed, he said it locks. You have to go all the way around the building. So he had when he went to go check, he just intuitively put a sign up, says, "Be right back." And he goes out the back. When he went out the back, he couldn't find his girlfriend. So he's like, "Carla." So he's like yelling to her, and there's no answer. He goes, and then I yell again. He goes, and I see this thing come around from behind the trash bins. Now there is like another store there next to them that's open during the day, operates during the day, and they have their own trash bin. And that's where it was. It wasn't their trash bin. And he looked over and he was like, "What the hell is going on?" And he said that he freaked out because he sees this thing just kind of stick its head around the side and then kind of go back. And he said it for a split second. He goes, he thought he saw a wolf's head. And he was like, "What am I looking at? Did I just see that?" Like, his brain's trying. This is what happens to people. His brain's trying to like tell him, "You just saw something weird." But you're in denial. I've been there. I mean, it's like, what in the hell did you just see? You saw something. His exact words to me is, "It was something ungodly." He goes, "I go to church, He goes, my mom and dad raised me that way." He goes, "I lived with my mom until she moved in with my stepdad, and then I didn't get along with him. Very difficult person. Did everything okay?"
Yeah, I'll talk to you about it in a minute.
Okay. So very, like, I guess, I don't know the words, like coming to the realization that something is not, that his world is, he knew like instinctively. This is why I think he's psychic. He's like, "I knew instinctively my world was about to change." And he's like, and so then I panicked and I thought, this thing is out here. There's like a field and some woods behind there. And he's like, and my girlfriend is nowhere to be seen. Right. And this, like, now this isn't in the city of Waxahachie. And it's not even really, it's not in the city limits, not even around the outskirts. His job was further away. He drove miles to get there. But he's like, dude, it's very desolate right there. There's not a lot there, There's a few places, but he goes, 3 a.m, there's no one around. No one. The sheriffs, maybe. And so at that point, he realized he had taken, he had went and put a sign up. He had propped the door up and did everything he was supposed to do except bring his cell phone. Okay. So he was like, "I left my cell phone." And so he was going to go back in to call Carla. Now, this is where something weird comes into play. The door was closed. He had propped it open with a crate. And he was like, the crate was gone. The door was closed. I'm locked out. He said, and the whole time he worked there, only the second night he'd ever worked on, this was 4 months into his job. Carla had been working it for a little over 2. He said, I had never locked myself out except that one time, the second time at night. And luckily it was like 1 a.m, and the manager was still awake and ran up there and unlocked it. Doesn't live that far away. So he was a really cool guy. And he was like, he's my friend. He goes, and I hated this, but yeah, I was going to have to tell them. And now I'm going like, I don't have a phone. So he starts to panic and he sees this thing. So he instinctively starts to walk away from this thing, going the opposite direction. When he gets by the trash can, the trash bin from his store, right, he hears noise. And he's like, what is that? Now, by the way, this is like just a couple years ago. It was like 2022 or something like that. Well, that would be what? Now it's 2025. So the spring of 2022. He's like, he hears this noise and then he sees the little lid kind of pop up and he sees somebody peeking out. And he's like, Carla? And she's like scared to death. She's like, Mitch. And he goes over there to her and she's like, there's a thing. And he's like, yeah, I saw something by the other trash bin. She says, yeah, it was right there by the trash. Cause they had filled up their dumpster, the people next door. Mm-hmm. and had left stuff out. It was a food place. And this thing was rummaging through it. And he's like, yeah, I saw something. And then he sees this thing come around the corner and he says, dude, it was on all fours. But what was so bizarre about it and what made him realize 100% this is not a normal thing. The thing didn't have paws. It wasn't like this. It was like this with fingers. And the front legs kind of came down into arms. When this thing came around the corner from him, he's got a real country twang, but he says, my whole world done changed. I said, yeah, I bet it did. He's like, I never in a million years would have thought. He goes, but it makes sense. And I'll tell you why. When this thing came around the corner, his girlfriend comes out of the trash bin. They're both looking at this thing, and she tells him to get in the trash with her. And he's like, that's not going to help us. He's like, you need to get your ass out of there. He's like, I'm talking quietly. He goes, and this thing's just sitting there. It's not growling. It's not making any noise. It hasn't even opened its mouth. It's just looking at him. And she's like, werewolf. It's a werewolf. And he's like, I don't know what it is. So she opens the bin. He pulls her out. The noise made it kind of recoil. Then it went and crawled, and it went around the other side of that trash can. You know how they have the little things around it, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, it was hidden behind, this enclosure. He's like, and then he goes, we damn near peed ourselves, both of us, because it let out this howl. There's no way to describe it. He said that this thing made a noise that reverberated through our chest and her chest. One thing that came of this, and this is going to sound freaking crazy. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but she had gone in for a mammogram about 3 months before, and they found a lump. And he was trying to get her to go back and get a second opinion, whatever. This is what's crazy. Like, shortly after this incident, I'm jumping ahead here, but we're going to go back. She went and got checked again. The lump was gone. I'm not saying that Dogman, I'm not saying that it cures cancer, but she had a lump. And she wouldn't even go back to get it re-examined. Mm-hmm. The doctor said that she needed to because it looked like it could be. She had an intense burning pain in her breast for about a week after this. And then she noticed when she felt that the lump was gone. Weird, right? Isn't
radiation therapy used to treat those?
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. And she felt really sick, too. Like she was waking up every day. They both were. Like they had been poisoned.
So this thing could have been radioactive in some way.
Or, I don't know. I don't know. But so anyway, this thing comes crawling out from between the trash, the dumpster, and the enclosure. It's like a wooden. It's like how you the way you make like a wooden fence. That's the way he described it. When it came crawling out from in between the enclosure and the dumpster, he says, I got a good look at this thing. Its mouth was open at that point, and it was not looking like it did before. It didn't just look curious. It looked angry, and it looked like it was in attack mode, and it was down on its, all fours, and it kind of sprang up. And he said that we took off running. He goes, I know that was probably not the smartest thing to do, but we took off running and we ran around to the front, and there was a guy standing by the door. Oh, we could see it, about, 15, 20 yards, big store, and he says we took off running towards the entrance, and the guy was pulling on the door. And he said that there was no way to get inside, but they ran up and they said, because her cell phone was not working. It was frozen. His phone was inside. So he told the guy, he says, hey, do you have a cell phone? Do you have a cell phone? The guy's like, Yeah. And so he gave them their cell phone. And then when looking like over their shoulder at this, whatever it was behind them, the guy's eyes just got big and his face just like turned white. He was a Hispanic guy. He goes, I'm not kidding. This guy, it was like his face became ashen white and he was absolutely terrified. He had this terrified, horrified look on his face. And that's what he said, terrified, horrified. Those were his words, not mine. And he said that it looked like the guy was going to faint. And he goes, all he could do was kind of point, like shaking his finger. And he goes, my girlfriend, he goes, she's brave, because she didn't even look back behind him. She just grabbed the guy and said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then he's like, let's go inside. And he's like, we don't have the keys. And then he says, okay, I'm going to my truck. And they joined him. Okay. So they just ran toward the truck and they jumped in. He had a big dually. And they watched as this thing stood up on its hind legs, walked toward the middle of the parking lot, and then walked back and then took off running and went up a hill and was gone. Well, up an embankment. Now get this. This is the thing about this encounter that really, this is why I chose this one. When it ran and disappeared, right? They called their boss. The boss came. They didn't want to tell him exactly what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they said there was some sort of prowler behind the building. The guy whose truck they were in, he was like, that wasn't no prowler. That was a damn werewolf. I saw it. He's like, that was a werewolf. He goes, that was a cadejo. He was calling it the cadejo because it was black.
Yeah.
But by the way, it was black. And the guy that was their manager he's like me. He's half Hispanic, half white, whatever. And he knew what that was. And he was like, okay, come on, let's,
What kind of smoke breaks are y'all taking back
and
here?
he's like, what are y'all doing? And he asked him point blank, are y'all smoking with this guy? Were you smoking vape that was the devil's lettuce?
Yeah.
Not my words. But they were like, no. He goes, well, let's go look at the cameras. The tail of the tape. So they go and they look at the camera. And in the back, he sees Carla go back there. She takes a couple vapes, whatever, puts it in her pocket. She was looking at her phone, and then she kind of started, you could see her messing with the phone. It's not working. So she puts it in her pocket. She goes to the trash can. She opens the lid. She throws the trash and she turns it. She sees something off camera because they don't have access to those people's cameras.
Yeah.
Then she jumps in the dumpster and closes it. Then they see something that at first looks just like a dog kind of comes onto the camera. And then it begins to vibrate and it's not, it's real quick. It's like it's a dog, but then it's not. Then it just becomes like a blurry image that's kind of pixelated and blurry. Well, the way that Mitch described it was going between pixelated and blurry. Like it would be like a blur when it would move, and then when it stood still, it was like pixelated. So it doesn't look like anything but some sort of weird glitch on the camera when everything else around it is normal. Except at the very beginning, you see like with the very tip of a snout and maybe like paws or something, like hands, whatever. It's real quick. Like you catch a little glimpse of it. And then this thing, whatever it is, proceeds to just disappear off the camera. Then you see him come out, and then he's going through the same, what the hell is that? She's in the dumpster. He's looking around. He props the milk carton open, or with the crate. This is the interesting part too. It speaks to a very supernatural aspect of this, because on camera, when he's walking over there, you see the milk crate go scoot in, like almost like it's grabbed by a human or somebody inside. And then the door closes, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh crap, the door's closed." And so then the rest of it all plays out the way he said, and then they take off running, and then on camera you see this blurry thing, like just moving, kind of like, you know, moving like not fluidly. There's no camera on the other side that catches it. The camera is facing the parking lot. And then when it comes out into the parking lot, it's upright. It's standing upright, but it's still like a blurry image of something.
Mm-hmm.
Then it proceeds to turn and go back off up a hill, and it's gone, or up an embankment. So what in the hell did Mitch and Claire or Carla see? And the guy whose name they didn't give. But that dude was like point blank, like, that was a werewolf. I saw it, you know. Okay. So, water. I need water. This coffee's drying my mouth out. Hold on one second, folks. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Gotta grab one from them.
Oh, it's not a bit. You know what? I'll just use this. This one, it's going to be a little bit harsh because it's. Is it just me? And when these things are hot, they burn the hell out of your throat.
Yeah, they kind of burn my
Ugh. I woke up with my mouth dry. You know, I don't even partake of the devil's lettuce, and my mouth was dry. So they go home. They live together. You know, they go home. They live in a trailer, in a double wide. He goes, and we live in a pretty nice double wide little community. You know, we have neighbors, but we're not on top of each other. That's the cool thing. And he said that, you know, he goes, we're out there in our trailer. He goes, and we were off the next 2 days. He said, my boss calls me into work the second night, but I was gone. I was down in Hillsboro. Now, if you know anything about this area, we had the pro wrestler Van. It goes by Vance Hart. Well, now what does he go by? Murder Hawk. It's what's his name? Lance Hoyt.
Yeah.
I worked downtown with him years ago before he became a famous wrestler, and he was on the show, and he talked about something that him and 3 other wrestlers saw on their way back from San Antonio to Fort Worth, and he said point blank on the show that it was a werewolf. He goes, I saw it. It walked right by my vehicle. So he's like, there's this thing, whatever it is. And he goes, it was as tall as my vehicle. He was on the show. He talked about it. He was one of our early guests on the first year that we had the show. That area since then, we've gotten, you know, not like, we haven't been like inundated with reports. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we were slammed with reports, everybody in Hillsboro. But in that Hillsboro corridor, yeah, we've had multiple, we counted 6 reports of this werewolf type thing. Somebody says, I watched him wrestle tonight on Max with AEW. Yeah. I haven't talked to him in a while. The last time I talked to him on the phone was during the pandemic a couple years ago. And he was still wrestling. He's still wrestling. He's older than me, and he's still going, man. The guy's got an amazing physique for his age. I think he's a great guy. But what were you saying? I'm sorry, you were saying something.
Oh, no, I was saying, yeah, he's still at it.
Yeah, he's still at it, yeah. He's
been at it for a while.
Yeah, he's
got he used to be with WWE.
Yeah, WWE for about 4 years. And then he was with New World Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us some creepy stories about the Japanese, like the dead sumo guy or whatever. Wasn't it? Like the guy was a sumo wrestler that died and he was under the bed or something like that?
Yeah.
Creepy stuff. But it's crazy. Yeah, he's huge. Murder Hawk is Lance is probably about 3 or 4 inches taller than me. We used to work downtown as bouncers. His club was tame compared to mine because I tried to steal him away. Paradox. I said, it can work for me. And he goes, hell no. He goes, I don't want this being destroyed. He's like, y'all are in a slaughterhouse in there,
That's
dude.
the money maker.
Yeah, he was right though. He was real handsome back in the day, you know, and he was like, I'm not trying to look all beat up and stuff, you know. Hey, look at me though. A little bit of reconstructive surgery on one side of my face. I'm fine. I mean, come on. You know, just don't stand too close to a heater. I'm joking. My face is not plastic.
You don't look like Mickey Rourke.
I have this side sticks out a little more because this part was swollen. I had high bone contusions, and my jaw has been dislocated, and I had lost a tooth in the back. And let's just say I've been through the ringer. Okay, let's just go there. That's it. But yeah, Lance was smart. Lance Hoyt. He was just like, I'm not gonna work. He's like, I'll let you, Scorpion Squad D, y'all do the all that violence and crap, and I'm gonna go and become a wrestler. But he talked about seeing this creature. Now, since then, we've had people talk about seeing this thing and seeing it on the side of the road. And please, if you're out there, there was somebody who gave me a story, and I think it was in one of the comment sections. You said that when you first moved to Austin, if you're listening, please contact me. Okay. And I can't remember where it was at. I remember responding to the comment. I think it was in the comment section, right? You said that your vehicle was attacked by a wolf-like creature, or when you first moved to Austin. That sounds very much like someone else that we knew who was working at IKEA when they first came here years ago, and they got attacked in their vehicle on the was it I-40? No, wait, which one is it that goes from Georgetown to San Antonio? That goes through Pflugerville, Hutto, whatever. We go on it all the time. Is it one?
I think it's 130.
130. They were on 130, and they were going to Manor, and they got attacked by some shit. I mean, excuse my language, but some shit attacked them. I shouldn't be saying shit, but that's what it is. Some kind of crap, some kind of evil crap. It looked like a damn werewolf.
Some thingamabob.
So, yeah, so this guy, the Hispanic guy, right? He goes, they get to know him a little better. He had been a regular customer coming in the mornings because he was going to a job site about 10 miles up the road where they were building tract housing or something, or 15, 20 miles, whatever it was. And he was coming in there every day. And so in the morning, he started, making sure that there were people there before he got out of his truck.
Yeah.
And him and a couple of his coworkers, he was telling them, look, they were electricians. He said, look, he's like, these kids, they'll tell you, we saw that. And his friends were kind of like, sitting there. And so Mitch and his girlfriend said, no, that really happened. Yeah, for real, this happened. And so his manager called him up and says, hey, this thing you saw, what did it look like? When he told him he couldn't work that night, he goes, okay, that's fine. He goes, I'll cover it. But what did it look like to you? Like, because he didn't see it on camera. It looked like a pixelated thing. And he says, let me tell you something. He's like, it looked like a black werewolf, 7 foot tall, if not taller, humongous, right? That's, he said it was probably 600 pounds. It was huge. And his manager, though, was like, on camera, it didn't look 600 pounds. It didn't look like it was that big. He goes, dude, I'm telling you what I saw. So the guy, and I'm not going to say the guy's name. They gave me his name, but I don't have permission to say his name because I don't know. We'll just call him Witness, okay? So Witness tells the manager in the morning there, says, yeah, I saw this thing with them. We got in my truck because it terrified us. And we waited until, you came up there, and then the witness just took off. Now, the witness was absolutely adamant that this really happened, and something happened to him afterwards. But we'll get back to this manager. The manager says, when I was leaving, he lives on the other side of 35. He was going west, about 12 miles. He said he was leaving one morning and he sees this thing dragging a deer. Well, not dragging. He was in its mouth, and it was walking across the road, 4 legs, and then it stood up on 2 with this deer. He said this deer probably was 200 pounds. Dang. Big old buck, and it was just carrying it like it was nothing in its jaws with its arms swinging to its side. He said this thing must have incredible jaw power to be able to carry something across the road. And so the manager was shaken up. He's like, I know what I saw. He's like, I saw a werewolf walk across the road, carrying something in its freaking mouth and then disappear off into a pasture. And he goes, I was stunned. Now it was 4 a.m. He had somebody that came in early to finish so he could leave because he had been there since the morning. So he came in and he worked from 7 a.m. until 4 a.m. So he was exhausted. So one of his coworkers, assistant manager girl, she told him, she's like, kind of doubting everybody's stories. She's like, well, you were really tired. It was 21 hours. It's a long time, right? 3 more hours would have been a full 24-hour shift. She's like, you were exhausted. You had been up since 5 a.m. You said so yourself. So at that point, you were already up over 24 hours. Maybe you were just, you were just tired. And he's like, man, I was so hopped up on caffeine and cocaine. And I'm joking. It was just cocaine. He don't drink coffee. That stuff's terrible for you.
Again, it wasn't cocaine. It was meth.
It was just meth. He mainlines it.
Yeah.
But totally reliable witness, though, in my opinion. Yeah.
Definitely. Nice a few teeth, but, just part of it.
Yeah. What's up, Chris Anderson? He says, what's up, paratroopers? What's going on, buddy? It says, whole deer or parts. According to him, it was a deer, like dangling out of his mouth. But you could see that it had been unalived pretty gruesomely. Kind of like he saw the deer. We can talk about that. I got the details on that. Here lately, I've been kind of getting in trouble because I'm not getting all the details and stuff, because I'm rushing. Yeah, come on. I need the story. Let's go. Come on, buddy. Holland Tunnel, buddy. I got it. Where's it at? You should have faxed me those directions. Should have known I was going to New York City. What's up? No, I didn't do that. No, it wasn't like an assembly. I don't do an assembly line thing. I talk to people for long, but I got the details. The carcass looked like it was mangled, like it had been ripped up, because I wanted to know if it was just like you said, Andres. I'm glad you asked that question. And like I said, I've gotten in trouble a few times for not asking because Nelly had put me on the spot, and I said I can't answer that because I didn't ask. Well, I got this one. So yeah, this thing looked like it had been torn up pretty good, and it was carrying it in its mouth. It's something that has the neck strength, the back and neck strength, to carry an animal that looks like it's almost 200 pounds. He didn't say 200, he said almost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And then it's walking across the road. Now, this is a guy that lives out in the country. He's shot deer and hunted his whole life. That sounded terrible. He shot deer. He just shoots them and then goes inside. Well, there you go, Bambi. Hope for the best.
Target practice.
Drinks his Pabst Blue Ribbon.
There's people like that. I saw this scumbag on YouTube just like shooting animals for fun.
And they showed it?
Yeah.
Please don't tell me that. I don't want to know about these people. I mean, so they can get put off of the air. That's about it. Thank you for that. It's not showing the super sticker on there like it shows it on the phone. See? Shows it on the phone. See the little sticker? Wait, if I can back it up. Wait, how do you get it to go?
They're talking about it and not popping up on the chat on the screen or what?
No, it's not showing up.
Yeah, the little chat widget doesn't show them.
But if you're looking at it on the phone, you'll see it. So it's crazy because like this thing was being carried away. He sees this thing. It's still dark, right? I get it. It's night. But he saw it, and it freaked him out. So that thing is obviously hunting, eating garbage or roadkill, whatever. It's in that area. So the guy who saw the thing with them that let them get in his truck, the witness, he lives about 30 miles from there. He goes through there in the morning. He actually witnessed this a creature, the same one, across the fence line. He lives out in the country. Across the fence line, his neighbor's pasture, and it predated a calf. Like it had taken down a calf. Like he watched it run out there, grab it from behind as it was trying to run. Okay. The cows all ran in one direction to get away, and then this thing just unalived the calf right in front of him. He goes inside. He tells his wife, "This is in the evening, when like dusk. It was, it just happened,
Mm-hmm.
And he tells his wife, "Yeah, look, look, look." And then they try to get a video of it, but then it just lays down flat for like an hour. They can't get it to get up, and nobody's going to go over there and try to make it get up. So they called the sheriff's department. They called the police to say, "Hey, there's a creature, whatever." Sheriff didn't take it seriously because, unfortunately, his stepson said it was a werewolf. So that kind of keeps, police from coming out and being like, "Oh, well, let's take it seriously. Oh, you said a werewolf attack. Let's go ahead and go after. Let's do this.
Yeah, don't ever tell the police you saw a
Don't say you
werewolf.
saw
If you
a
see
werewolf,
one,
man, because
just say
then-
you saw a large predator,
Predator."
a dangerous animal. Make sure you use the word dangerous. Just don't call it a werewolf or a Bigfoot.
When the police finally get there, they've kept their eye on this spot. Right? This is weird. The police get there, and all they find is a unalived calf that's been partially eaten. The only thing they could think of was the grass was kind of high in certain spots, and they had just put those cows in there. And so this thing was able to low crawl out of there. Because one of his stepsons was saying, this is the witness from the gas station, that he witnessed the grass moving because he was supposed to keep his eye on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they took a video, but you don't see nothing but just grass. That's it. The police come. So then they turn it over to the game warden because there was a deer that looked like it had been slain and something ate it. But the thing is, they believe that it was killed by a human because it had a broken neck, like somebody had taken it, twisted its head, and then sliced its belly open and removed the insides. Something a human would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was then when it was sitting there on the side of the road, the game warden had come back. This is a story he told, right? The game warden. He comes back to pick it up, and it was like somebody had been interrupted at what he thought. Like maybe they saw his headlights or something. The head had been removed, and it had been huge bites taken out of it. So there's a game warden that shows up and says, "Look, I don't know what this is, but this happened to me a couple of weeks ago. That thing that you saw could be the same thing." So he wasn't doubting that these people had seen something. So somebody says, David Buckles, hey David, he says they don't respond well to chupacabra sightings either. No, they don't. So let's not call them and tell them you saw aliens or Dogman or Bigfoot or ghosts or chupacabra. Just tell them you saw somebody trespassing that looked like a bad guy. Okay? I mean, that's the best you could do. I don't know where this kind of being, like, where how do I word this? I don't know where this thing would originate from. I don't know. Would this thing be a skinwalker? Would it be one of these creatures that looks like that all the time, that comes from the inner earth? Or is this something completely different? Like a damn werewolf that just stays like a werewolf. You always get in the comments section of the show too, like, werewolf is different than a dogman. A dogman looks like da da da. A werewolf looks like da da da. A dogman looks like this, and a werewolf looks like that. And you're like, how do you even know that? Why are so many people convinced that there's this huge difference between them? And they think that a werewolf looks like that, one of these things that doesn't fully change or something like that. I'm in the camp that when it fully changes correctly, it looks just like a wolf-like man. And then it can get down and become a wolf. Like, just looks like a wolf with some minor differences. because I don't think it can complete it completely. I don't think it completely be, there's a photo that went around for a while and I've seen them all. I've got about 1,000 of them times 1,000. This thing had elongated limbs. It looked like a werewolf and everybody argued. All it does is create arguments. Everybody fights about it. I got a bunch of them, dude. Here lately, I've been posting a few things in the groups, and there's always some snarky, smart mouth comments. And there's, that's not a guy. It's a costume or a dude or just a beer. Hell, I don't know, dude. Okay, I just post stuff on there in the conspiracies group, and then Nellie's conspiracy and Mandela effect. I don't even know if I'm an admin in that group. I post stuff. I think they approve it. I don't even know. I'm in so many groups. I'm like admins in groups. I was talking to Lyle about that the other day. He's an admin in a bunch of groups, and so am I. And we don't even. And no offense to anybody, but he's like me. We don't have time to do any adminning. We just in there. You're just in there, and you're just there.
It's another responsibility.
Yeah, it's another responsibility, and it's fine if you want to put me in there, and it'll bring some kind of whatever to your group. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'll accept it, but don't expect me to do much modding because I just can't. I can't do it. I don't have the time, and it's not for lack of want. If I could, have more time to do all kinds of stuff. Be done with all my books. I literally have 2 books that are just kind of hanging in the air. I don't know that they'll ever be finished because I need Redfern to help me finish. Redfern, if you're out there, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, your books. Yeah, well, see you later. He's a good guy. He had, issues, and he moved back to England, and he felt like it was the right thing to do. And I'm not mocking him. Please don't do this. He's a very dear friend of mine. I'm just saying, like, he's pretty laid back, and he just expects me to do it, I guess. And I'm like, I need your help. One of them in particular, though, I'd gone over it with Garitano and a few other people about the MK Ultra thing. Probably best we didn't. As much threats as we've gotten already. And then somebody messaged me the other day, and they're like, You'll say anything on your show. And I said, you're damn right I will. I'll even tell them what you said. I just did. How's that? Joe M. I'm lucky I didn't say your last name. I said I don't know it. But if I did, and then he says that he's watching me. I'm like, no, you're not. Shut up. Okay? Liar, liar, your pants are on fire. You should hang your booty on the wire.
Ooh, you're watching.
You do not watch me. Nobody watches me.
Whatever will we do?
583 people in the chat. But yeah, he terrified me.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. Look how scared I am.
He's actually peeing his pants right now. I can smell it.
Yeah, I'm like.
Oh, he's pooping. He's pooping.
You ever seen that movie with Steve Martin?
Which one?
Running a scam. I think it's like Dirty Rotten Scoundrel or something like that.
I don't think so.
And he's got the patch on his eye, and he's pretending to be like,
Oh, when he's in a wheelchair?
I don't know if he's in a wheelchair, but he's just like, can I use the restroom? And he's like, yes, you may. He goes, thank you. And they're just like horrified. That's what I just did right now. And I'm actually wearing Crocs in the studio because I don't want to wear shoes. How about that? I'm wearing shorts. Not in my chones, or in English, my underwear. I'm in shorts, but I'm comfortable. I want to be comfortable. Like sitting with... yeah, probably.
Oh, the jerk. That's what it was.
Yeah. Rhinoceros. Yeah, no, it's come on. So anyways, this case was intriguing. So it gets weirder. And then I'm going to get into another one that's sort of similar to this one that can be, I don't really know how to. The next one's going to be in Sweetwater, Texas, but this one, let's finish this one first, and then we'll get into that one. It's very similar. This guy, right? He sees it again. He's outside with his they're babysitting their niece and nephew. him and Carla. And she's now expecting, by the way. So congratulations. And they don't. She still work. No, she doesn't work there where he does at that store, but he only works there part time. No, that is, yeah. What was one you said? The jerk. That's a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the
right.
jerk is when he loses all his money, I think.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need nothing except this and this. And he's just like grabbing stuff from his house. Besides this, I don't need nothing.
Ain't fucking. Okay, enough of those jokes. All right, we've heard it. We're done. But so he sees it again. He says he's outside. He's playing with his niece and nephews, and he looks like something peeks behind a tree. Now, he doesn't live real close to this store. And he said, dude, he goes, what happened was his dad's, his ex-wife and his dad, they both were listening to your show. And they heard you mention Waxahachie, Hillsboro, that area. So that's what made them reach out, because they were like, well, that's crazy. The ex-wife claims to have seen something that looked like a blur that gave off a shadow. Really weird. Didn't see a dogman or a Bigfoot, but saw a blur go by her car, and it gave off a shadow. So therefore, she was like, yeah, I've seen something like the blurry, weird looking whatever. This is that Glimmerman effect, right? That predator effect.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he saw this time. He saw something peek around the corner of the tree. He looked, and he was like, we're outside. He goes, and my niece is a little bit older than her brother, and we were playing we're not playing kickball, but we were rolling the ball. He was kicking it. And he's only like 4. But she's like 7. And they were playing, and he said that he looked up and he saw this thing behind a tree. And he goes, hey, kids, let's go inside. So he goes, he picks up his nephew and he grabs his niece by the hand, and they go to walk inside. And just then, Carla was coming out with snacks, and he goes, go inside. And she goes, what's going on? He goes, go inside. They went inside. They let them go play. And he's like, we go to the window, and I point. I said, look behind that tree right there. And she's like, looking. And he's like, several minutes go by, and she's like, what am I looking? And he goes, shh, just, there's something behind that tree. And she didn't see anything. And then just as she's turning, they're on the couch facing that way, and the couch is like, they're leaned on the top of the couch, He's like, we're leaned over the top of the couch. He's like, and it's not super comfortable, So eventually she gets tired of looking, and she's like, well, okay. And he goes, look, there it is, right when she gets ready to move. It's like this thing knew that it was being watched. He's like, you see something come out from behind the tree real quick. And just for a split second, it looked like what they saw, except it was gray, not black.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes from gray to black, and then it just starts to kind of, it vibrates, and then it becomes that blurry thing.
Yeah.
And then it runs on all fours. He said that it was so fast, and it ran through the ditch and up over the curb, and that was it. It was gone. And so he goes, dude, she was floored. He goes, we have neighbors. I mean, he's like, we're out there, but it's not like out, there's nobody around. He's like, so one day, my neighbors are having a little get together, and they're young people too. And they invited the people over, whatever. He goes, and they're playing dominoes and cards and stuff. And he goes, and we're sitting there, and one of them says they started teasing one of the relatives about having seen a Bigfoot. And he was like, really? What did it look like? And the guy was like, he was embarrassed. And then he told him, he says, look, dude, we saw something weird. We've seen some stuff out here, and we saw it at our store we work at. And he said, well, he's like, and people say Crocs. I'm actually wearing the slides. I'm actually wearing a slide. Let me show you. I'm not wearing. They look like this. Okay. I'm not wearing those ugly with the round fronts or whatever. Come on. And actually, I didn't even realize it, but it matches this.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't even trying to be color coordinated today, and it happened. And I'm wearing black shorts.
Be funny if they just saw your foot come up on camera and while you're sitting there. Like, how the hell did he do that?
Well, I could do that too. Should I do that?
No. End up hurting yourself on camera.
Hurting myself by lifting my foot up.
All the way up to the camera while you're sitting there.
Oh, I'm not gonna lift it up to the camera.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, but I could lift it up and show you. I'm not ashamed of my foot. But anyways, no, there's this, this sort of like, jokey. I don't like it at all. I don't like being teased.
Yeah.
But they tease you, and he says, "What did it look like?" He goes, "I don't know. It was like this big hairy thing." And he goes, "And the ears were kind of pointy." And his girlfriend looked at him, and they were both kind of like, "Wait, what? The ears were pointy?" And he said, "Yeah, it was weird. It kind of had like a snout." And they were like, "That's not a Bigfoot." And they're like, "That's what we saw." He goes, "Really?" So they kind of went off on their own. That guy, his girlfriend, and then Mitch and Carla went off on their own, and they talked to this guy. And the guy tells him, he says, I saw a quick glimpse of it, but it looked kind of like a Bigfoot. And she was like, "Yeah, but that doesn't make sense." And his girlfriend kind of slaps him like on the side and goes, "I told you it looked like a werewolf." And he goes, "Well, yeah, but I'm not going to tell people we saw a werewolf." And they were like, "That's what we were, concerned about," because people are making fun and laughing. That's what the guy said. It's bad enough he tells me you saw a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
They make fun of you. Right? But then you tell somebody you saw a 7-foot-tall werewolf that turns into a blur when it moves. Now, who the hell is going to believe that? Except people like us that, we're here for a reason. I don't know, man. Excalibur Knight says, "I had a big black dog-like thing run across the road right in front of my truck, lifted 4x4. Its back was as high as my hood. Damn. It was moving so fast it was a blur. I was going 35 miles per hour. Remote Oregon." What part of Oregon? I just read a story about Oregon. What the hell was it? I read one earlier today about Oregon. I'm not joking. It was in a group called The Unexplained. Dang, what was that story? Oh, it was about a guy who lived in Oregon, and these people, they rented a property adjacent to him. And he claimed that his dad worked for Lockheed Martin, and they had some kind of program for the children. And they would microchip them and follow them around.
What?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. I read it. It was like in a group. It was like The Unexplained or something like that. Not my story. Nobody gave it to me. I was just reading it.
Who the hell would put their kids through that?
You'd be shocked. Well, you probably wouldn't.
No.
That could be said, Slappo. Your blurry werewolf is arguably scarier than one I can see. I saw something that, a few weeks ago, just ran across the road while I was doing the patrol, and I couldn't believe how fast it was. And it wasn't little either, but it wasn't huge, but it was about the size of a medium dog or something. It just ran across the road super fast. And now our cousin that lives on the same acreage that we do, they live behind us in a barn dominium, said that what was it she said she saw you want to tell the story, what Paige claims she saw?
I mean, I don't think I could do it justice.
Well, you should try. I'm not going to be around forever.
If you're not around, there's no show.
No, you take over.
I can't carry this show.
No, you can't.
Hell no. Okay.
like the guy from Flash Gordon. Well, you better try.
All right, let me try, and we'll see the people's reaction.
Well, don't go purposely.
And we're gonna. Okay, watch. You're gonna see. Watch. Okay, so what she said was that she was sitting in her vehicle on her property, and she saw something in her rearview mirror. I think she had just gotten home, and she said that it looked like just a big black dog. But the tail, she said, was like this long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually longer than I can't even show on camera. But she pretty much like expanded her arms all the way out, and after she saw that, she was just going like, what the hell did I see? What is that? It looked like a dog, but its tail just kept going and going, and it just ran behind my car. And the way their property is set up, there's one way in and out, and it's gated off. So there's nowhere else this thing could have gone.
Yeah, they got a big fence around it.
Yeah, there's nowhere else it could have gone. And she can't just sit there and be scared because, I mean, she has kids, and she has to make sure that there's not some big dog or weird animal on their property. So she had to get out of the car, and she got out and she checked behind the car. There's nothing. She checked the entire property, which again, there's nowhere for this thing to go except out one way, which that direction was in her rear view mirror, and she didn't see it leave. She just saw it go behind her car, and she didn't see it after that. She said it was just. She didn't say that it looked like a werewolf or anything. She just said it looked like a big black dog, but with the tail that would have been as long as the tail of a large cat. So I don't know what the heck that is. There's no dog that has a tail that long, but she distinctively saw that part of it, and it was nowhere to be seen after she got out, checked the property, nothing. So I don't know what that was. I don't think I've ever heard. I mean, like we've had stories of like these cat-looking humanoid people, but she said that it looked like a dog, or it looked canine at least, like a large canine with a huge tail. So I have no idea. But she didn't have any choice but to just get out, check, and go home.
It was almost like she knew it wasn't there.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, hopefully that's not something that's lingering on their property.
Well, what about what I saw? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get this.
Go
You want
ahead.
me to tell it? Are
Yeah.
you done, or you want to keep going?
No, go ahead.
So here's what I told Paige and Richard. That's my cousin and her husband. I told them this. I said, we are only several miles away from Lawrence Cemetery. Now, you guys remember I went and did the investigation at Lawrence Cemetery? We kept hearing weird noises, and there was something large up in a tree, but we couldn't see it. Now, when you pan a camera up to something and you hear noises, but you don't see anything, that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
This means you and the camera can't pick it up. There's very much a world that surrounds us. When you're in the water, in the ocean, just because you can't see it doesn't mean the shark is not there. That shark is there, and it sees you, but you don't see it. Folks, you need to understand this. You need to be very well aware. When we go and do these little investigations, we don't do them very often, but when we do, we pick up some weird stuff. I mean, like stuff happens, and I'm always guarded because I don't want something following my ass home.
I mean, whatever you're looking for, you're in that thing's element. Like you're out of your depth. It's like if someone comes into your home to I don't know, to look for something or to look for you, and they've never stepped foot in there before. The layout of your home. They don't, so they're at a disadvantage. That's us, in the woods going and looking for strange things,
Mm-hmm. So we were out there And Tony. That's a joke. He's talking
It's a
about
joke from early on in the show.
Armando used to always say that.
Yeah.
That's kind of an homage to him. When we were out there, we heard a clanging metal noise. It would come and go. I don't know what that could be. I know that whole area, and I don't know what the hell that would be. It's out there on the way to Scruggs, and then my cousin Bradley lives out there. Him and his wife Miranda. That whole area is full of stories of black dogs, black cats. And then we had the guy, not to get into a story we've already told, but he pulled his Mustang up and he was sitting there. And this large black wolf comes and jumps on the hood of it. This was years ago. The electricity, all the electrical devices from flashlights to everything went dead. The car was dead. He couldn't start it. And the girl he was with wanted to scream, and he was stopping her from screaming, telling her, chill. She had to basically cover her mouth. Then it gets off, and it takes off toward the cemetery. And it's pitch black out there. Now, if you don't have a flashlight out there, it is pitch black out there. It's dark. And there's big, huge, tall, ancient oaks that have tree cover. That you're not going to see the moonlight hardly at all unless you go out to if you move out away from the trees. But where the trees are, that's it. And so this thing, he couldn't tell for sure, but it looked like it disappeared going into the cemetery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then once it was out of eye shot, then they couldn't see anymore. Then the Mustang started up. And they bounced. We've also had people claim to see black cats that stand up and move around on two legs at will. Weird stuff. Now, this isn't far from where we live. It's not, we're not on that side over there, but we're, think about it. And I told them, I said, this is, par for the course. I was outside and I was listening to a person give an account. It was somebody who had sent a voice record, like they recorded their voice, whatever, sent it to me. So I was opened it up and I was listening to them talk. And I thought, that's interesting. It's not that late. I'll go ahead and call this person and get their story. And there was a story. Actually, both Dogman and Bigfoot together. And so I called them up and we started talking. And while they were talking, something tall and black walked behind I think I was in the truck at that time. Or no, wait. No, I was in the SUV. So the SUV would be a little bit shorter than the truck. But it walked behind the truck. I couldn't see the head of whatever it was. And I was like, whoa. And so I grabbed my firearm. This is right there by me. You're living out in the country, not in the city limits. And who the hell knows what that is?
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's somebody on your property, they're a prowler.
Yeah.
And so they walked right behind my vehicle. And I kind of freaked out. I was like, hey, can you hold on 1 second? And at first they didn't hear me. And so I just waited and I saw what went behind my vehicle. It wasn't real quick. Then something darted out from the right side of my peripheral. I could see it. And then I was like, what the hell was that? And it was fast, but it was long and it was about the size of a large dog.
Mm-hmm.
Go out from behind the vehicle. And I've said this before. And that was like, I think that was the night before. The next day we heard all that banging on the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
And then after the maintenance guy, the handyman that we would hire to come and look at the house, whatever, he comes and looks. And then I thought he had come back and was working on the deck because I heard all this banging outside. And I go outside because I'm like, hey, man, I'm working. I didn't know you were coming today. I worked last night and I'm really tired. Can you not be out here? So I go outside and there's nobody out there. It's broad daylight at this point. Right?
Yeah. I've only ever heard that banging during the day.
During the day.
And I've woke up to it on like on the wall that's right up against my my bedroom. You know, it's an exterior wall right there, and it just wakes me up during the day sometimes. And like the first time everyone was asleep, I've told you all this before, and I looked out the window, there's nothing there, and then I hear it again, and I go outside to check. I'm armed, because I don't know what the heck, nothing there. So I don't know, and it was like someone was throwing something against the wall. And our neighbors right there, they're old people. They don't have kids living there. We don't ever even see them. So I don't know what that is or why it only happens during the day. But I don't know. It's just bizarre and unexplained.
Hold on one second. Person listening, and they thought I was going to tell their story right now. No, we're not going to tell your story right now because we haven't fleshed it all out yet. They were like, wait, we haven't finished telling you anything. It's crazy. So they actually messaging me. No, don't worry. We're not telling you tonight. What the heck is up with this phone? He's moving, dude. Stop moving. Okay, so you got this weird thing that happens. Something walks behind my vehicle, but then my cousin talks about what happened to her. I'm gonna have her come on the show. We have to record with her. We have to. This weather has been so wonky. It's hard to get, and I was supposed to record with Monica Rollins too. It's just there's so many people trying to record with me, and I can't get it done. And people are trying to get me to go on their shows, and I don't have time. I'm trying. Oh man. So yeah, the black dog phenomena is definitely a phenomena that happens. Now, that was all the stories that I got from Carla and Mitch. But I told them if anything else happens, keep me posted. And since then, they haven't given me anything else. Here's one that I got. This one was out of Sweetwater, Texas. Sweetwater is way up in the north. I think you look it up on a map to make sure I'm correct exactly where it's at.
Sweetwater?
Yeah. And as always, donations are welcome and greatly appreciated, not expected, but we appreciate the help. And if anybody wants to help, join the Patreon. That is the way to go. I saw the mugs. Oh my gosh. The tumblers.
Yeah, they look really cool.
They're going to look really nice. And if you're a Patreon member, you get one automatically just for joining.
It's up in North Texas. It's a little bit west of Abilene.
These stories are all Texas based tonight.
Yeah, not really far North Texas, but I would consider it north.
We need to change this episode, the name of the episode. This one, the Strange Texas Dogman Encounters. But this one, it's a cloaking one too. I'm just going to give it away and tell you. A lot to unravel on that one. This one is pretty straightforward, the beginning anyway. There was a woman who was driving home from work, and her name is Sherry, and she saw this thing on the side of the road. This was in 2001. She saw something that looked like, this was crazy. She's with her 2-year-old daughter, and the daughter's asking, whatever for milk or whatever it is. She's like, I'm trying to drive and whatever. And she's like, and I'm not even going that fast. And I come up to a stop sign. She's like, and I see this guy come around the corner, and it's going out toward the edge of town where we live. They lived in town, but on the edge of town, right? Mm-hmm. Almost like it was kind of rural right there. Was it Northwest Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, I'm driving, and my daughter's asking for this and that, and I'm telling her no. And then she's like, look, mommy, a wolf. She's like, now my daughter's 2, almost 3 years old, not even quite 3. She sees this. She goes, I look and I see a man walking with a beige jacket with his hands in his pockets. She's like, but my daughter, she saw something else entirely. She's like, and as I started to drive by this guy, right before I was getting ready to be able to look at him through the passenger window. Now, this woman, Sherry, you speak very well. Like I had no problems she's beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
She told it very clearly. And if she didn't work so much, I'd probably be able to get in touch with her. But she does administrative stuff and she's always working and she goes to bed early. But she was looking out the window and she says, I saw it clearly. She's like, I know what I saw. And she's a listener of the show. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and the first thing I thought, this is not a human being. She's like, I looked by the face. She's like, the face, this part of the face, she goes, it was like muzzled, like it was pointing out and like it was elongating. She's like, and the ears were pointy. Now, there's this thing I posted on the Paranormal Roundtable group, and it might have been in the conspiracy group too. It's like they call it demon face, where people are seeing it. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, they're trying to say that it's some kind of like mental condition or mental illness or something. Like trying to just explain it away medically, whatever. But I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe any bullshit. Anything they say. The powers that be, if they told me that it was dark outside right now, I would throw the flashlight and I'd leave it on the table because it's probably not.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything they say. They're full of crap. Okay. Poor Maddie gets her chocolate out. But do what Nelly says. She's just giving you the heads up. So hit the like button, folks, and subscribe. So look. She looks out the window and she says, "I saw," and this gave me the chills. She said, "This goblin-faced being look at me." And she goes, and my daughter says, "Look, it's a big doggy." She's like, I was horrified. She's like, I just drove through the stop sign. She's like, I get home. She goes, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, what in the hell did I just see? I saw a goblin. She says, there's the only way I could describe it to you, Wolf. She calls me Wolf, which I wish people would. Some people call me Mr. Turner. And then some people say, yeah, demon face syndrome, total BS. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I agree on that one, Sarah. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Everything's some sort of syndrome or condition or mental illness. Yeah.
We took all your money from taxes. Oh, broke a tax a syndromia. Okay. Yeah, bullshit. Okay. It's called theft.
I diagnosed you with brokeridicus.
Brokeridicus. Taxonomian. You're a taxonomian. You don't like being taxed. You're one of those taxonomians. Don't want to pay what we want. So this person sees this. What's up?
Not that I was going to make a stupid joke.
Go ahead, make it.
You now have tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis. So she looks out the window and she sees this. Whatever, and she's like, I get home. She goes, and I tell my husband at the time, and that's her husband at the time because he passed away. And so he was working in an oil field and he had an accident years ago. Well, 10 years later, 2011. So sorry for your loss. She's a widow. But her daughter continued to see this big wolf-like dog thing when they would go out and about. She would point and she goes, I would look and I wouldn't see it. And then one day we're at her friend's birthday party. Her friend was turning 5. She goes, my daughter was 4 at that time. And she's like, she points and she says, look, there's the doggy. And several of the children look and see this dog. Most of the adults didn't see anything. They were all like, what are they looking at? She's like, there's like 6, 7 adults there that were right there talking, eating cake at a child's birthday party. And everybody's like, oh, the kids have quite the imagination. And then this one guy says, y'all don't see that? And she's like, what? And so when she goes and she stands and she looks at it from his vantage point, she sees that goblin-faced guy walking down the road across the street, going down the sidewalk. And she's like, that guy turns and looks at them and just is like smiling, laughing. Now I told her, I said, listen, give me a description. Sherry, tell me exactly what this man being, whatever. She's like, it wasn't a man. I said, tell me what it looked like. She goes, it's hard. I said, you said goblin. What are you getting into goblin from? I said, is this from a movie? Like, what about Lord of the Rings? And she's like, yeah, like Lord of the Rings. She's like, there was one in particular, there's one scene. She's like, I don't remember the movie real well. She's like, but I just, looking back on it, she's like, I rewatched it one day with my sister-in-law and her husband. And she's like, we were watching this. She's like, and it looked like it was, her husband's sister. She said it looked like the goblins that were fighting, when the big spider came, whatever, kind of like that one.
Yeah.
And that's the scene where she's talking about when Shelob came, right? And the dude was like, I jumped him with that stinger, that weird looking goblin thing. She said it kind of looked like that. She's like, and there might have been a couple other scenes. She's like, we watched the whole thing, the director's cut. She's like, it seemed like it'd take 8 days. I said, yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
But I said, is it, because I didn't want to push her in that direction, say, is this what it was? But I did say, I suggested Lord of the Rings. I said, is that what you saw? And she said, yes, very much like that. It was like a goblin creature thing, whatever. She's like, but it was like, it had a jacket on, and it was like, but she's like, it looked like it was wearing clothing, but it was trying to blend in, right? Mm-hmm. And she said it didn't have any shoes, and you could see these big oversized feet with these weird black claws on it. And she goes, there's this one little guy, he's a little short guy. And she's like, and he saw it. She's like, none of the adults saw what we were talking about. They all just kind of lost interest and went in, And she's like, and we stared at it. He goes, and then this thing pulls its hand out. You could see the hand. It wasn't a green goblin. It wasn't green. It had like flesh tone, like a Caucasian flesh tone, but it was darker, like swarthier skinned than a normal, but not like, not like your skin tone, because she's seen the show, and I told her, like, Anthony, not that you're a goblin, but you do look like one. And she was like, no, not dark like him, but like, and she's like, maybe lighter than Tony. She was trying to get the flesh tone right, and she goes, but still like kind of swarthy. She's like, but it was goblin like. She goes, and I don't know why the kids keep seeing it in that way. So she goes, fast forward a couple years, and I just kind of chalked it up to whatever. And my daughter, she's older now. At that point, she was like 5 or 6, going on 6, whatever. And she said that they were going to the park, and they were having a play date with some other kid or whatever. And so they met together, and me and her mother were sitting there drinking coffee, and we're talking. And she goes, and we're at a park there in Sweetwater. She said that this being that she had seen before comes out of the woods. And she's like, she looks, and she's like, that looks like how that goblin dressed, but it was a man, like just a man. Mm-hmm. And when he walked across the field, he just kept staring at us. He had black hair. He combed it over, and it was real black, and it looked like it was greasy, like very dirty looking, And she said that the 2 little girls were playing with another kid, and they all stopped, and they screamed, and they ran back to their moms, which her did the same thing. They were like, Mommy, look, Mommy, there's a monster. And when they look, all they see is this guy wearing a beige jacket walking. It looks like a normal guy. She said about 2 months after that, she sees that same guy at the grocery store, and he's pushing a cart. And she's like, and I'm looking, she's like, I'm looking for stuff to bake something, bake a cake or something, cookies or something.
This cart full of raw meat.
Yeah. And so she said that this cart hits her cart, and she's like, whoa. And she's like, excuse you. And she's like, he looks at her, and she sees this guy for the first time, like within 2 feet of him. And he's like, you're in my way. And she looks at him, and she looks down, and yes, There was meat, a bunch of meat.
I knew it.
And she was like, well, I'm sorry, I'll move. And he goes, yeah. He's like, funny, we keep running into each other. She's like, I've never met you. And he goes, oh, you know me. And then he tells her something, and this was effed up, dude. He says, you need to keep your pets inside and maybe they won't go missing. And she's like, excuse me? And then he walks by her, and she said he smelled horrible. It's like, I don't even want to gross people out. But she said he smelled like rotten stuff and, poop and BO. And she's like, he didn't look like a normal person. His face looked like a mask. It looked weird. He had this weird nose kind of drooped down, big pointy nose, kind of hooked, and the ears were not looking, they looked weird. And whenever he walked by her, dude, she looked down and she saw that he was wearing these sandals, and his feet looked like they were pushed in, like they weren't fitting correctly. And he had these long toenails, long fingernails. And she said, man, I nearly gagged. She's like, it was horrible. And she's like, and then I realized this guy is not a human being. She said that she really started thinking hard about it when she saw the video of the lady on the plane saying, these people aren't human. This isn't a human, right? And now we got this demon face thing going on. She said since then she's seen two other people that look like this goblin-faced whatever, but her sister and her sister-in-law, they were all together, and they were down in Dallas Fort Worth, and they were eating like at a Chili's or something. I think that's what it was. And she said that they were eating dinner, and their waiter came up to them and had said, hey, the guy over on that table over there wants to pay for y'all's dinner. And they look over and they see this strange looking man, not the same guy, but someone who looked similar to them, to that guy. And he said, my sister and I had seen these weird looking beings before. We'd seen it. We were at a baseball game, a Texas Rangers baseball game. She's like, it was weird. We were seeing this, but then she said, but my sister-in-law was like, didn't even think nothing of it. And she's like, oh, that's nice. He's a nice man. He's paying for our dinner, whatever. We were down there for a conference because they all work together in the same, whatever. And so she says, the guy's like, wants to pay for our dinner. And then she goes, I immediately was like, no. I'm good. I don't want this man paying for anything. We're okay. We're good. She's like, we're heading back to the hotel. This was in Dallas, right? She's like, and we take a wrong turn somehow. She's like, and we see this giant wolf-like creature run across the alley. We end up like turning and we're going into the alley just to go and back up and go back out. She's like, and we see this giant wolf-like creature run across the alley. And at the very end, it kind of stands up, and we drove off. And she's like, me and my sister-in-law were like, because my sister was driving. And it didn't. I don't think she saw it. She saw the wolf thing run across the alley, but not stand up. She goes, me and my sister-in-law, we were like, whoa, what was that? What was that? And we freak out. She's like, and then my sister just kept driving, and she was like, do you want me to go back? And we're like, no, don't go back. Don't go back. We don't want that. We don't want to see that. So they just took off. And then she's like, about a month after that particular incident, and she's like, at this point, it was like 2005 or something like that. And she said that, it was years later. And she says, I'm jogging, and this is before my husband had passed away. She's like, he was still alive, and he was real, he would work out and stuff when he wasn't working. He was real into fitness. She's like, we went jogging, and we see this, and we're living out in the country at this point. She's like, we see this large wolf-like being literally laying like in the field, and it stands up on all fours. She's like, and before our eyes, it starts to shake. She's like, and then it erects itself and turns into what looks like a man. She's like, and I stop in my tracks. She's like, and I told my husband, let's go back the other way. And he's like, yeah. So they start running back the other way. She's like, as I turn back and I look, I see this very extreme, and this guy's really tall. But she sees, by the way, he's like 6'5", 6'6". And she said probably a little under 6.5 feet. So that's 6'5", right? So she's like, he walks across the road. This is, not way out in the country, a few miles on the edge of town, and she sees that same guy with the black greasy hair and the weird look. And so she freaked out. She called her sister and her sister-in-law. And she's like, "You're not going to believe this." She's like, "I think these things that we're seeing, I think they're shapeshifters. They can change their shape." And she's like, and now we know, she thinks she knows why the kids were seeing it when they were little. But why does it appear to them, right? Well, it's not really just appearing to them. It's just that others can't see it. It's only certain, this is what I believe. This is my words, right? Only certain people are capable of seeing these damn things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so some people are seeing them and they're like, I see exactly what that is. That is that. Right. And then others see it and they think that it's just like, oh, it's just a dog. Oh, it's a big giant wolf looking thing. It's just it's a wolf, but it's a big wolf. Right. And then other people are seeing it. And you're not, they're not putting two and two together of what it is. Like they have no clue what they're really dealing with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was her. Those were her stories. And then, her husband passed away. She said that 2005, early 06, that was the last time she saw it, the guy. But she said her family had seen other ones that look very similar. So take it for what it is. I don't know what that is. That's a good question. What if there are different cameras? Maybe these ones that we're using, these on the phones and stuff, and these like modern cameras, they don't work. They don't, What if the old cameras that we kind of almost done away with completely could actually catch these things? Modern cameras, can't catch them.
Yeah. I never really thought of that.
And I don't put much stock into them being reptilian. I don't know that these are reptilians. These don't really look like reptilians. I mean, they could be a type of reptilian. There's at least half a dozen different ones that we know of. I mean, that's that we know of, but the ones that, for me, from what I've gathered over the years from people's stories, I think that there's at least 6 different types that are more prominent, and then maybe a few others that are a little more rare. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I hadn't.
Here we go again with the 666. That's not even what it says up top. God, it always stops there.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna change soon. There it is. Anyway, I actually had kind of a theory as to why, some people saw it and others didn't. I mean, especially with the kids, because people's pineal glands are going to be calcified to different degrees, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Kids, they haven't had enough time to fully get theirs all messed up and calcified with the American diet and everything in it. There's really no avoiding it at this point. But also, I was gonna say, you remember that meme that was going around for a while with the dress, and some people saw it as black and blue, others white and gold. Yeah, I mean, I was adamant that it was white and gold. I didn't see black and blue.
I saw blue.
But see, like that right there, that was a really telling thing, because it proved that people see, like, visually, they see the world differently. Like the way I see light and colors is not going to be the same way that you see it, or anyone else. And you know how the human eye can only see a certain spectrum of light, and we can only see like a certain spectrum of vibration, right? And if matter vibrates outside of that spectrum or outside of that range, then we can't see it. Well, that too, I think that's different for everyone. I mean, like, yeah, there's a general range, that the human eye can perceive, but everyone doesn't fall within that range. There are some people, I think, that fall outside of it, and that can see things that other people can't. So yeah, I mean, with the combination of just like like biologically how the eye and the mind is built, um, that the people see vibration and light differently, and then just with the pineal gland. So it's like both a biological difference, and I think there's a spiritual difference, like on a spiritual level, that too.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Earth Files says, from my own research, people who have had experience, spiritual experience of an NDE seem more prone to see things being. We've talked about this on the show many times. And one of the things that good point, me and Anthony have walked into a haunted house and we saw things like, we weren't told this is a haunted house. We were told this is a Dogman thing happening. And 4 of us walk in there and there's poltergeist crap going on. Like, what the hell is that? We weren't told, hey, our house is haunted. No, there's a Dogman here. And so we're in the area. Let's go and talk to these people. And then what happens? It's not a Dogman at all. It's a demon. I mean, I have no doubt that it looked like a Dogman to them or a werewolf type creature, but that's not really what was on display that day. It was poltergeist activity. And now all the stories that they told us turned out to be Dogman, werewolf related. But there was a bunch of shadow beings that were taking. It was if you have to put a finger on, what would you say, Anthony? Like vortex portals going on in these places?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that, Yvette. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard of that. The cacao, And Dee says, yeah, perception creates reality. That's my brother. And my brother was there that night. You were there too, Dee. And Dee was like, what the hell is that? Like, why is your what was it, the washing machine and the Ninja blender, why are they flipping out? What's going on? That's early on. We're thinking this is a Dogman encounter. We're going to go on location, check it out. Electronic stuff didn't work. We couldn't. Yeah, I mean, Armando wasn't able to he brought the equipment and it didn't work. There's just some weird stuff out there. We don't know what we're dealing with. And I think that when we first got into this, we thought, and Armando too, we all did. We thought that we were going to be able to unravel the mysteries of the universe. And the more we learn, the more weirder stuff gets, the less we know. It's starting to become like, this spiral, that downward spiral going into the, And what is it that somebody has mentioned Rex Rude earlier? Remember how Rex Rude, the vampire, the supposed vampire, went down into the void, and below the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up in this black spiral going round and around and round. Yeah, it's crazy. So Yvette says, great show tonight. Thank you. That's interesting. Darth Reven. I know what that is. Darth Reven says, we're not allowed to escape Earth. That's interesting. Are you saying it's because there are aliens that live under the earth and they different types of beings in the inner earth? Because I believe that's what's going on, is the inner earth is where a lot of the answers are. I think that what Rex Rude had to say was very telling. He was a real a-hole, by just putting it nicely. And he threatened me later, which I took real kindly to that. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead, threaten me. Come on my show after you threaten the crap out of me. You're going to exsanguinate me, whatever. Yeah, okay. And the werewolves are going to eat me, and Bigfoot's going to twist my head off, and the ghosts are going to, take me to hell, and whatever. The demons are going to get me, and the boogeyman, and blah, blah, blah. if it's true, it's true. It's, because there's nothing that you can't run away, Exactly. And Mrs. Rex was too much. These people, beings, whatever they do, what they do. Now we have another guy who's actually supposedly a shapeshifter, and he's a very nice guy. I haven't got permission to say a whole lot yet, but I'm working on this guy to come on and talk about what he is and what he knows. And not to be, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but he is a very odd looking guy. And he's got a bloodline. I don't know. The guy sent me some videos of his body looking like it's in transformation, but I don't know. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that the transformative abilities that these people have is not going to be able to be captured on camera, because they have an ability, these beings, they're not. You can't. Our equipment's not going to work. It's just not. And but to dismiss it and say it's all just jokey crap, that's not going to get us to where we need to be. Take things with a grain of salt, but some of these things that people do and say defy logic. I have seen some really weird things. I saw a video of a guy in California that looked like, I mean, I don't know, man. It was pretty compelling. I mean, unless the guy was able to afford some serious special effects, I could say that we probably saw a transformation. And there again, though, once it gets to that certain point, it becomes like blurry and sort of cloaked. And, looks smoky. I don't want to say smoky. What would you call it? Like fog? I don't know if fog is the right word.
Haze?
Yeah, like a haze. There's like a haze around it. Like did you see the picture of those guys, the latest one?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna show you. I'd love to show you guys, but I don't have permission from this dude, and okay. Check that out right there. Exactly. Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yeah, dude. I would love to show that picture, but if he lets me, that's just, and I have about 40, 50 of those of different people. And that's what's chilling is they all kind of come out like that when they say that this is what we are, and it comes out looking like that. The other ones are in the files. You can check them out. I mean,
yeah, I'm scrolling through right now. Dude, this dude's eyes.
Yeah, Earth Files, exactly. A disturbing video of someone who seems to transform. This same thing happened, to a few of my friends. They've been given videos of people, and they all kind of do the same thing. And I don't want. There's two things going on. I don't want to be. Somebody says, "Oh, you showed my likeness without my permission," getting sued. But also, I don't want to piss these people off, because I don't know what the hell they are. I don't know what they're doing. And I've already been told and threatened more times than I can count about my work. Reptilian threatened me, reptilians, whatever. And then
the one where his
werewolves, vampires, everything you can imagine is threatened. Lachusa recently, lady, she says, "Look, I don't want to have to do something to you, but stop talking about us," and blah, blah, blah. Look, lady, okay, stop turning into a bird like freak. And I shouldn't have said that. She's probably come after me now.
Mm-hmm.
Stand in line. All right, stand in line. You're all going to do something, right? Everybody's going to do something. Where's my steak at? I can know what I'm doing here.
I think it should be to your right somewhere.
It's not.
It's got, yeah, it's right there. You can't see it.
It's way over there. Somebody hid it from me. So if they come busting through the door.
No, I just laid it down because I don't like it like standing up like that. Because if someone trips, they're going right into it.
Well, maybe they were a vampire. That's why they tripped.
Or maybe things happen and one of us trips.
Everything is messed up and supernatural on the show, okay?
Okay,
Stop trying to make
well, we're not
normal-
going to supernaturally
Stop
survive a steak through the eye.
Stop trying to make mundane excuses for supernatural things. Everything is weird and crazy, and there's no normal explanations for anything.
If a vampire comes in here, you can still pick it up and stab him with it. It doesn't need to be standing up.
If anything comes through here, I'm doing something else first. And if that doesn't work, then I'll go to the supernatural stuff. Just saying. You never know.
And he still sets it standing up.
Okay, I'll lay it
Off
down.
camera, y'all can't see it. It's off
I was so
camera. There we
scared of it
go.
and everything, Just like Tony the other day, he was like, "Does this have to be over here standing up?" Yes.
Well, Tony especially, his shoes are always untied. He's gonna trip and fall into that thing.
Oh man, I hate that. So we got time for one more, and here's another one. And then Friday, don't forget, Friday night we have Nick Valenti. He always says, "My Nick's Valente or Valenti, whatever Valenti," and I always say Valente. I say, "Well, I like it. It sounds more French." And he goes, "Well, I'm not. I'm Italian." But so Nick Valenti is coming on Friday to talk about Dogman reports, whatever, and then we're going to close it out with Sunday. The Dogman Palooza will conclude on Sunday when we go over some more encounters about the Dogman. But one of the things we got to do, we got to flesh out several stories, and we do have to record with a lot of different people. We just have a lot to do. We have a lot of work to do. Here at PRT, we stay busy because I got to work. I got to work, man. I was up today working. I had to get up early and get some stuff done. I had, client that had finished. We had finished a job site, and my poor brother, he's like, "Oh, we're done. Nope, got to go another week because they need us out there." Okay, well, we got to work, and then I got to go and lock up some stuff. And get this, we got to lock up swimming pools so people don't get in them. We do it so much that I was dreaming today, Anthony, when I woke up.
Mhm.
I was dreaming that we were trying to lock up some pools and we couldn't get people out of there. And there was no water because it was wintertime.
Mhm.
So they were all just sitting around the pool with snow because it's been snowing the last couple of days. Not today, but did yesterday. And so people were sitting around on the snow, kicking their feet through it in the pool. And I was like, guys, it's like a water park, though. It was weird. It was like a water park pool. And I said, guys, you can't be here, man. This is And so then the only way to get out of there was to climb these shelves. And you know how those shelves, they have like braces and then you just put the piece of wood on them. So if you push them like that, they'll just go flipping,
Mhm.
So we were having to climb up those and hold each other up, me, you, and it was Clark or somebody, one of my guards. And it was weird. And I kept flipping them because it was so heavy. And it was horrible, man. It was a nightmare. I finally woke up and I was like, "Oh, thank God, I got to climb out of that pool." I think it's just work stressing me out, dude. Just stressing the hell out of me, dude. And these clients, calling and like, "Are your guards stupid?" I'm like, "No, man. We hire only the finest guards with the retardation.
Yeah.
The retardation is strong with our guards. We do this to test your patience. You become better person and you get the secure of the retardation guards." No.
You don't pay us enough for us to send our best lady.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Earthfall's got some pretty good stuff here. He says, one experiencer told me her husband was a police officer in the Philippines, thought they ambushed a group of drug dealers in a bus in the forest, but they were shape-shifting humans. And we've done that's interesting that you talk about that because we've done a lot of stuff with the Philippines. We need to do a show. We did Strange Demons of Japan, and we thought we were going to get, here's that number again, and we thought we were going to get like more traction on it, but we didn't. So we just kind of we didn't do it. We were going to do one, and we were going to start with East Asia, and we were just going to do like 12 different countries in East Asia. It was going to be China. Well, there were going to be two different sections of China. We're going to divide it up, and then we were going to do Korea, and then we were going to do Japan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and the other one was Burma, right? So we were going to do, there was 11 of them that we had planned, and we decided not to. And then we thought maybe Mongolia, but we only had literally 2 stories from there, and they weren't even ours. They were somebody else's that they were going to let us use. I said, well, we get more now. Now I looked in there, there is a Mongolian file. And believe it or not, that the death worm, like those, that's all of what it is. There's one Bigfoot story, and then the rest are all of this worm-like being that I honestly thought was bullshit. Honestly.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering, like, is this real? Is that a real thing? So do you remember Salah? He was telling me a story about the desert when he was in Tunisia, that the Bedouins there were terrified of going to sleep on the floor. That's why they built they put their big tents up and they cover the floor with all these, because if you're on the sand, something can take you under the sand and it suffocates you and then eats you. And it's like a giant snake-like thing. But that sounds a lot like the Mongolian deathworm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's from the steppes, but say 2 different things, but still. The desert, the steppes, desolate place. You go to sleep. Something grabs you and takes you under the earth. There's so many terrible ways to die. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to die like that. I don't want to die. Just somebody killing you is preferable to that. Let's just be done. Not taken away and eaten by something, and then they devour your whole body, and then you're never seen or heard of again.
Yeah, you don't want to see it coming.
Yeah, I don't want.
You just want it to happen quick.
Yeah, I don't need that. Like what happened to Saladin's army. Interesting, because there is a story about Saladin, who fought Richard the Lionheart, right? And his part of his army was decimated near the ruins of what's it called, Carthage. They were camped there a few miles from where ancient Carthage was, and they wouldn't go near the ruins because it was supposedly haunted, even though there were still buildings that were there. And so they were out in the outskirts of it, and part of his army disappeared overnight. It's a mystery. But you don't hear about it in modern textbooks or anywhere in the West, but the story is very popular in the East. I know this because we have a lot of friends who are Arab and Israeli and whatever, and they all know about this. Like, this is a real thing to them in the Levant. But here they're just like, oh, it's just a bunch of stories, man. You ain't even heard some shit like that here. No, Delbert, it really does happen, but we don't get everything over here because it's all been filtered out in the West. It's to keep you dumb, and you're doing a good job. Keep it going. Keep being dumb. So, last but not least, this one is another weird story from Texas. And well, you know what? There's a few of them, and I don't have time to tell them, but one. Give me a second here. What? That's weird. So there's another. Yeah, good night, Liberty. Thank you for tuning in, man. Great guy. Really nice guy. See you Wednesday. What's going on Wednesday? Today is Wednesday. We're going to be back on the air Friday, Liberty, and we'll be back on the air again on Sunday. So tune in again for those days. From now on, it's going to be Tuesday. We're going to drop a pre-record. Wednesday, we're on the air. And then Friday, we do another live stream with a guest. And then Sunday is the main show. I don't know which one I should tell, and then I'll save the other one for Sunday, because Nick Valenti is going to be telling his stories on Friday. He's got a lot of reports coming out of California from the fires, people seeing dogmen. So I'm thinking maybe I should tell. Anyway, let's do the Longview one. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So this one was pretty interesting. And the guy only goes by Childress. That's the name that he gave us. That's just an email that we got. And so I reached out to him, and we just a lot of typing, which I'm not good at. So I really wish I could have talked to him, but he had an encounter. Now, interesting thing about him, and he has a Bigfoot story too. When he was, I think he said he was 6. All right, hold on. Let me see what year that was. Oh, okay. All right. Also, somebody sent me an email here. It says, I just opened this one up because I was looking for the other email, which I found, but this one says, I want an apology from your next live. No one threatened anyone. Mods started shit. Huh? Bigfoot was a stone's throw away from my trail cam, so don't go boasting and puff up about a real conversation and facts of pick and how he's a stone's throw away. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I never talked about this. It says, I want an apology personally from you. I'm a disabled veteran Marine with brain damage. You ousted me without judging and reading what was meant. What is this? Who ousted this man?
What is he talking about?
I don't know. Read it. Now, I apologize if you were. I did not last Sunday. The mods, because we'd gotten trolled, and some of our sister brothers in this community, they all got hit. Okay, a bunch of them, and they got trolled that day and then cut the day before, and so we thought, well, I didn't, but my mods, guys and gals thought that people were messing with us, and so toward the end there, they had taken some people off of there, but like Blue Cruise was one of them, and so I was like, put them back. I mean, these people are friends of ours. I don't blame the mods. They were a little overzealous because they were worried about the attacks. And so they thought that's what it was.
Oh yeah. So this guy was hidden by one of the mods like early on in the stream, but I think it was just because they didn't recognize his name, and like he had said something like Wolf's gonna freak out when he realizes that I'm just a stone's throw away from him. So that, and I guess they didn't know how to interpret that, and they had never seen him in the chat before, so that they just blocked him. But I mean, I can get on the computer and just unblock him. It's not a big deal. Because I mean, I haven't seen him in here before, so
Yeah,
you know, he could just be a new listener, you know.
So anyway, I just saw
Things
when I was
happen.
looking for the other email, I just saw that right now. So that he sent that just at 9:30, 9:40.
Yeah, so no harm, no foul. I'm gonna unblock you right now. Just
Totally apologize for that.
things
We're not
happen,
trying
man.
to be. Nobody was trying to be mean to you. Please don't take it that way. And in fact, I got pretty aggravated when I saw all this blocking and kicking. I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't even know about that, nor did I sign off on it. But I don't blame the mods, because we've had to be on high alert because they've been attacking us and our friends. So forgive me for that, guys. I take responsibility for what my people do, and I apologize. Do you know the person's name?
Yeah, they were under anonymous. They're not showing up.
And anonymous is perfectly fine. I think he just passed it. Go back up. A lot of people send stories anonymously, and that's perfectly fine. I don't mind anonymity. It just, you gotta look at it from our perspective and what my mods have been going through. They just don't know. You don't know. So, anyways, well, Anthony gets that sorted out. We'll I haven't blocked very many people. I bet I can count on both hands how many people I've blocked over the last 6 years of this show. And it's not very many, you know. I don't know. Bear with us 1 second, folks. My mods have blocked several hundred people because these people keep making fake accounts and just keep coming back in and making fake accounts. One of them that got blocked was the Paranormal Roundtable Josh that they made to go around and pretend like they were me and say horrible things in other people's chats. Real cute. Real nice. Did you get it?
I can't seem to find them on the block list, but I think the way it works maybe is that the block list doesn't get updated until after the live stream is over. So I'm gonna see if I can find them after this, after we end the show. Maybe it'll get
Anyways,
updated.
Anonymous sent me pictures of his Bigfoot tracks. Thank you, and I apologize. And if anybody else got blocked and you weren't supposed to be. I didn't make that call. I didn't do it. I trust other people to do these things, and I'm sorry that happened to you. And I really apologize. We try to do the best we can, man. But when you're constantly, I can't stress it enough, getting attacked, the block and delete thing don't even work because they just make more stuff. They just make more stuff and make more accounts. And they make up stories. Yeah, they definitely do. They make up stories. Making up all kinds of crap that we supposedly did to these people just so they can justify their hateful jealousy. And do shit to these people, man. Ridiculous. I don't have time to do anything to you. Just don't. And if I did have the time, you know what I'd do? I'd go watch some shows that I've been wanting to watch, like Yellowstone. I've been trying to watch that for a year. I can't even get started on it. I finally got caught up on Cobra Kai. Oh, it was good. The last season, really good. But I'm just like, I told Nelly, I said, if we only have a limited amount of time, honey, and if we have time, we got to make the best of it, you know. Yeah, Excalibur says it right there. That guy might be a new listener, so might not be aware of all the attacks of PRT and others. You're exactly right, Excalibur. And Sailor Nemesis says, Abe had me blocked on his channel, never got mad. It was a simple mistake. Yeah, and Abe is just constantly getting messed with. But Blondes and Booze were getting messed with. Tex and BMR were getting messed with. We were getting messed with. Several of our friends have reached out and said, dude, they're constantly being trolled. I mean, it really sucks. And thank you to everybody who's donated, and we appreciate all the help and everything that y'all have done. It's greatly appreciated. But back to the story. So this story happened. This person lived in Longview, Texas, and they were actually in Tyler, Texas when they were a child. They were 7 years old, going on 8. And they, with their mother, went walking through the woods outside of Tyler, and they walked into a Bigfoot, well, not a Bigfoot, but 2 Bigfoot. And D, no, it's not spelled booze, B-O-O-Z-E. It's B-L, Blondes and Booze, as in B-O-O-S, okay? So they went out and they walked into these 2 Bigfoot that are sitting on a big log. And they were like, when they stood up, they started whooping and hollering and making noise. And he said they were light brown, almost a reddish color, and it scared the crap out of me. He ran. He said after that day with his mother, he's like, I will never forget it. He goes, now I know that there's things out there that exist. So he goes, I go out hunting one time with my brother Ken. He was an older guy. This guy's name was Dustin. And he goes, I go out and hunting with my brother. And he's like, I'm sorry, this is his. No, I'm sorry, I got his name wrong. I just remembered that. That's a different guy. This guy's name is Kendall. And his brother's name. Okay, that's not correct. Didn't say his brother's name. His name is Kendall. His name is Ken. He goes by Ken. So him and his brother went out hunting, and they were out in an area on the other side of Longview, and that's up in northeast Texas. A lot of activity and reports up in that area. He's like, and we were up in a tree stand. Well, I was up in a tree stand. My brother was down in another stand, and he's like, I was up there by myself, and then the stand that his brother was in, he's like, there were two people. It was big enough for two people. He's like, and I was by myself. We have another story that's very similar to this that we're going to get into on Sunday, and it's a terrifying thing that happened to this guy. But it's along the same vein as this, what happened to Kendall. So he's up in the stand, right? And he goes, my brother is down, in a tree stand, down on the ground. And he's like, this only happened like a few years ago, 2017. So he goes, I get this text from my brother saying, hey, I just saw something really weird. He's like this weird blurred looking thing just walked right by me and Mike. That's the guy that they're friends with. He said, then I told my brother, I was like, okay, I'll be on the lookout. He goes, and I'm thinking, that's odd. What is that? He's like, but I'm 27 years old at this time, right? And he's like, and I'm telling you right now, he's like, I know what I saw, right? Funny is, in 2017, he's 27, right? So what year was he born? 1990, right? So he was born in 1990. That's the year I saw the Dogman, right? This would have only been about a month after that. So, yeah, literally. So 27 years after I saw the Dogman. And same year, like till the 27th anniversary, just about a month after the anniversary of what I saw, he says, I see something making movement like the brush. You could see the brush moving, the tree branches moving. It's all, he's like, but I don't see anything. I see nothing. He's like, and so I took my rifle. He goes, I leveled it. And he's like, 6.5, wonderful rifle. He's staring at it through the scope. And he's like, I'm sitting here watching this. He goes, and as it gets closer, he's like, I could see the dust come up a little bit, on the ground. He's like, and it was a really nice day. It wasn't very cold. It was about 60 something degrees or whatever. He's like, I didn't feel like it was freezing or anything like that. He goes, and if I remember correctly, it was a nice day. He's like, and then that's it. I didn't see anything else, but then it got cold as hell after this thing, whatever it was, appeared. He said it was like the temperature dropped suddenly, and it was like a cold front had blown in, and it got freezing. And he's like, so cold that I could see my breath. And I was like, the weather report didn't say anything about this sort of cold, but it happens. You're in Texas. The weather changes like that, then it changes back. It just does what it does. And so this was out in northeast Texas. And like I said, he's from Longview, but his encounters didn't happen in Longview or, where he's from, right outside of Longview. He's actually had one right outside of Tyler when he was visiting his grandmother. And then this one happened further out in the northeast in the thicket. Well, some people claim that the northern part of it is not really that far up north, whatever. It kind of ends. I beg to differ because it's still just huge mass of whatever. Purists will say it's just that middle part because it's one of two places in the entire country that what, Anthony? What is the big thicket?
I'm sorry. It's considered jungle. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to unblock this dude. I'm messing with
that's
right
fine.
now.
Let's pay attention to what we're doing here, and we apologize to him. So it's considered jungle.
Yes, satellites can't penetrate it.
Satellites can't penetrate it. The other place is in Florida Everglades. It's considered jungle. There's only one of two places, and this is one of them. And so this is on the northernmost part of it, but that middle part there, near Cato Lake and all that, they say, well, that's really the thicket. But I believe all the way from the southeast all the way up is the thicket to me, because go out there and go wander around in those woods. I've been in the woods in southeast Texas. I've been in the woods in the middle of East Texas. I've been in the woods in northeast Texas. Yeah, something happens to you. You're just done, dude. I mean, like there's nothing gonna. I remember walking through there as a kid, with my dad and my uncle, and just being like, we're toast if something happens out here. And this is back when there were no cell phones. You went hunting back in those days. You didn't want no cell phone out there. What were you gonna do? No payphone. You're just done.
No GPS.
Yeah, I mean, it's just So you had to be able to get, and compasses were very important back then.
Mm-hmm.
I had one. I always had one. My dad gave me
Just paper maps.
a knife for my 11th birthday, or 8th birthday. And I remember it was this survival knife. It was like my favorite thing, dude. And it had a compass on the end of it. I thought I was Rambo. It was like, dude, I mean, but you needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could die out there. And so they're out in the middle of the thicket. He's like, and he goes, we're hunting. And the temperature just dropped all of a sudden. It got real cold. He's like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I just thought, it was a cold front when it blew in. It was nice we went out there, then it became cold. And this is like in November, And he said that, November, I mean, we've had a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. It's just freezing. It's a hard freeze, and it just is what it is. And then sometimes the whole month of November go by and it don't even get below 70. It's just the way it is. So he's out there, and this northerner blew in. At least he thought it was. And he said, "Dude, I could see my breath." He goes, and I texted my brother and my friend Mike, and I was like, "Are y'all okay?" He goes, "I just thought I saw something come through the brush, but I don't see anything, but I hear it." And they texted back, and I'm like, "That's the same thing we saw." But then all of a sudden we saw something move, and it just looked like something blurry. He's like, so I'm up there in this tree stand. He's like, and I'm watching and I'm watching and I'm looking around through the scope, and then I see this blurry thing, look like the predator, go across the little bit of clearing right there where we were at. He's like, and I saw what looked like an arm, a human-like arm, but it was covered in fur, come out of that blur and then go back into the blur. And he was like, and I'm going like, oh my gosh, what in the hell am I looking? What am I witnessing here? He's like, so I just kept looking at it through the scope. He's like, and then all of a sudden it just moves really quickly and it goes into a tree. Now, when he said that in the email, I messaged back and I was like, what, you said it went into the tree? He says, yeah, it went into, so it wasn't, he's not talking about
Not
it went behind.
it?
No, it went into a tree. He goes, and then a few minutes later, he goes, I'm just watching and I'm in shock at what I just saw. He said, this thing comes out of the tree. Like it was in the tree. It came out of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and it had arms and the upper body, but the midsection and the legs and everything were still kind of like they were inside of this tree, like toward the base of the trunk. And he said, I could see it come out and look around. And he's like, it was a grayish, beige colored werewolf looking creature. He said, looking at what I saw, I didn't know what I was looking at. He's like, and this thing was, like I said, it's like the legs were either flushed up against the tree to where you could not see them. He's like, I'm looking at it through the scope. He goes, I could see that the legs, there was no legs. It was just like the tree, it was just a tree. And I'm thinking, what in the hell is going on here? How is this possible? And so the guy, what he said in the email was just like, it was either perfect cloaking of some kind, or this thing was a spirit type being that could put itself inside of a tree. And he was like, I'm thinking, what in the heck on earth could be able to meld itself with a tree? Now, this is not the first or the last time I'm sure that we will ever get a story like this. We've gotten stories like this where something is running and it just goes into a tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing, like think back to Lauren Coleman when he's talking about, one of his early books. He was talking about this Bigfoot that just kind of went and became a tree stump. These things can do things. They can cloak and the things that they do defy the laws of physics as we know them. Mr. I don't know what that is. Is that Tagagalon?
It's hard to read.
What is that? I can't read it. It says must only bend light. They have abilities. They definitely do. Let me put this up there, what he says. And Kate says there's a video like that on YouTube. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff on YouTube that just shows them doing things and defying the laws of physics over and over again. When this thing came out of the tree, he said it looked left to right. He goes, but the terrifying thing was it looked right up at me. So like it knew I was there. He's like, and then I felt this uncontrollable urge to not have the gun pointed at. He's
Yeah.
like, my gun
It's
had
not
to
going to
go.
do you much good.
Yeah, it was basically telling me, put the gun down. Don't be stupid. You know, I messaged him back and I was like, did it actually tell you don't be stupid? Because that's the thing about emails. I'd much rather talk to the person. But yeah, he said no. He goes, no, I got this impression in my mind. Like there was thoughts being put into my mind and it was like, put the gun down. It's not going to help you. Basically, like you said. Yeah. And so he's like, at that point, I did. He goes, then it came right out into the open. He said it was about 6.5 feet tall. It wasn't massive. He's like, it didn't have this humongous barrel chest, whatever. It was kind of scrawny, actually, considering some of the stories that he's listened to since he saw what he saw. Because he looked up cloaking, werewolves, whatever, and he found the Dogman and all that other stuff, which he found us. And so he said, dude, this thing was doing something that not just defied the laws of physics, but it was terrifying. He goes, and I'm thinking I'm dealing with something that now looks solid. He goes, he sees the legs everywhere. They're the backward bent type legs. I asked him that. And he said that at that point, this thing did something really bizarre. It dropped down to all fours, and then it started to go down into the ground until all he saw was a shadow. And that shadow moved back into the tree. And it was gone. He said, I sat there for about 2 more hours. He's like, and I wanted to look at it, but I didn't want to point the gun at it. But he goes, I had to see, through the scope what it was. He's like, and I kept looking and putting the gun down, putting the gun down. This went on for 2 hours. And I text my brother over and over again. I'm like, come on, man. You and Mike need to come on. I can't sit here having anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So Kendall was terrified and he needed to get the hell out of there. So ultimately, yeah. And so that's what happened to him. And then it got dark and I would have been pissed, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
I would have been mad because his brother's like, well, he's like, just hang in there, because all they saw was just something blurry. He saw the actual entity that was blurring itself and it looked like a damn werewolf. And he's like, dude, there's a freaking werewolf out here. And they're like, oh yeah, sure there is. Like they didn't believe this guy because all they saw was some blurry thing. So Kendall, he goes, dude, there was a huge argument when they came to get me. I was like, nah, man, this ain't cool. I'm really pissed off, And so they picked me up. He goes, I got out of the tree stand and he goes, now, he goes, they couldn't come right to where I was at. He goes, I had to walk about 3/4 of a mile down a trail the other way. So he didn't have to go in the direction of what he saw. Now get this. He said, as he's getting in the truck and they're putting their stuff up, he looks and he sees like this, what looks like this oblong shadow that had kind of followed him. He sees it on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and so when they're driving away, he thought he saw something kind of come up off the ground and go back down but I couldn't be sure. It could have been just me frazzled from, whatever. So that story, thank you for sending that story to us, Kendall, but that would scare the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys sit there not knowing, because you don't know what the hell it is. And I've been in a situation where I saw something that was a shadow on the ground, and it was kind of, and then I've talked about it on the show. We were working at Child Inc., and the thing was like floating in the air. It looked like a cat-like whatever. And there was a lady that worked there and one of our guards that had seen the same thing. So I know I'm not crazy. They saw it too at different times. The lady that saw it, she was an African-American lady. And she was like, she goes, I saw it. She goes, it looked like a black cat-like thing floating in midair. And I saw that. It just was like a big shadow on the ground. So they'll sit there for a long time and just pretend to be a shadow or like a dark spot. I know Scorpio had seen something one time at one of the job sites we were at. Most recently, Kiem over at one of the sites, I'm not going to say the name of it, but the site, remember he claimed that he saw a shadow that was just not, and then all of a sudden it moved up like a person and kind of moved off the site. But it was just like, remember he said it was like a shadow on the
Mhm.
ground. Well, that's what Scorpio saw too. So we've all been there, not all of us, but a lot of us have been there and seen these weird shadows and whatever. Just like my cousin, I don't know what the hell she saw.
Yeah.
Went behind her vehicle, her SUV. The same thing happened to me. Something went behind the vehicle, and I was convinced it was like a tall, upright thing. And then, I mean, you have to get out and look. You know,
Yeah, you
I
can't
mean,
just sit there.
it's on your property. You got to do something, man. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, folks, if you haven't won, your name is in green. Tell me right now. Let me know. So you can, and make sure you specify on the email that you won. This is what we have to do from now on. Put the date, like I won on the giveaway Wednesday, January 22nd. Because if you don't, then you might not get your stuff. Because I have to be able to keep track of it. We have to be able to go on the emails and keep track of it. So put down, I won, this date, hoodie. Okay, hoodie. All right. And so then, Mr. Whatever that is, your name is in green. If you're a member, you can win. You don't have to be a Patreon member to win this. Patreon members just get the big swag bags. They get all the stuff. And you're going to get the tumblers and stuff like that. Whenever we make new stuff, you'll get it. Oh man, are you kidding me? Some people see shadow spiders when they're depressed. They come like a blanket. No, boo, boo. No, we don't want that. So, anyways, we have.
So the first person who spoke up that they haven't won is
Eve
Reyes. Yeah.
Eve Reyes, and then this guy. I don't know how to say your name.
Yeah, he's using some kind of like font.
So you
It's
won.
hard to read.
So Mr. Whatever, you won, and so did Eve. You guys now put your name and your email, your name and your address and your shirt size. We need your name, address, shirt size, and I need to know what day you won. That way we can send you your stuff. Okay. You won a hoodie. And Julie, what does it say? She says S828. She says, I won about 2 years ago, so can I win again? Sure. But we've done the giveaway for tonight. But if I tell you what, Julie, you tune in on Friday, and I'll if you tune in on Friday and say, hey, it's me, Julie, and don't worry about being a pest. If you have to say it 2 or 3 times, get my attention, and I'll if you come back on Friday, I'll make sure you're one of the people that wins. So we're going to be doing the giveaways for the hoodies this week, next week, and probably the next week. And then we'll probably be out of stock for that. But, yeah. And you got to make sure that you're on top of it, because the hoodies, we only have like 5 of each size of each one. So we got So we got to make sure that you're ready to go. You're on top of it. And what else are we getting? We ordered the keychains. And then we're going to show you the new prototype that you're going to be able to order off of the new store. Okay. When they come in, we're going to be wearing them on the show. They're a lightweight hoodie type. It's a hoodie, but it's a lightweight, like, I wish I had one here. And it's got the logos on there. The original logos. Okay. Mm-hmm. One is the orange, the original, and then the red and black. And those will be coming out, and we're going to show you what they look like, and then we're going to make an order for those so that we have them in stock to give away. And, of course, once the show or the store is up and running, the best way to do it would be for you to just, so go into the store and order it. Philip Barnes says, we're all winners for tuning in. Philip Barnes, great guy, man. I ate dinner with him and his family.
Yeah.
His nice family that came down.
Really nice.
We went to Reale's Italian place, had a good dinner. Good guy. Really cool guy. All right, man. So we had a great time tonight. We're almost at the 3-hour mark, and we went over some Dogman encounters. We still have a ton more. Trying to get through them, and this is Dogman week. We're going to try to make this like a regular thing. Like maybe second, third week of January, right? We just make it Dogman week.
Yeah.
And so we can get out the stories. You'll get Dogman stories all the time, off and on, but definitely
There's more than enough to keep it going.
Yeah. And we have a lot of other stuff to talk about, like we do. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There was one story I got recently that was like, I wish I could have told it. And I was just thinking about it. Give me a second here. It wasn't a crawler story, but I was like, man, I want to tell this story so bad. Dang it. Well, we got some Bigfoot stuff coming up too. Some pretty off the chain Bigfoot stuff. And then we got some pretty good ghost stories too. A lot of people have asked me about that ghost story we talked about. It was Sunday. It was not last Sunday, but it was before. It was maybe the impromptu, cryptid stories, which isn't even correct because the last thing we talked about was a ghost story. We need to change the name of some of these things. But that one, a lot of people asked me about that one. That was a crazy one. But anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thank you to the people who send their stories in and make the show what it is. And thank you to everybody who tunes in and watches and listens. Thank you to everybody who donates and becomes a member. Remember to join and become a member in green so that you can win your a hoodie. Oh, cool. Yeah. Kate the Great says, anything out of Copper's Cove, Texas? Yes. Well, when we were at the bull riding event in Belton, remember we talked about something from Copper's Cove. Remember that?
Yeah, what was that?
We were talking about it with somebody. They were from Copper's Cove, and we were talking about it.
Was it a Bigfoot story?
I don't think so. I thought it was something. It might have been. I thought it was something pretty because I remember we were talking about it on the way home.
Yeah.
Because I had bought John's paranormal book collection. It was huge.
Yeah.
And so we have all that sitting in storage.
It's heavy loading up all those boxes.
Set up, but but those books are going to be there for posterity. We have them. He had like every book ever written by every author you could imagine.
A literal truckload. It filled out the back of our truck.
And it was huge, yeah. The whole back of the Dodge truck, you filled it up.
Yeah.
And so anyway, somebody had given us a story. It was right out of Copper's Cove. We could go look. I want to say it was like funny that we were talking about goblins earlier, but I think that was something like that. It was something creepy, like I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we do have stories out of Copper. Who asked that? Kate the Great. Kate, do you have anything from there? Because that area though, Central Texas is just inundated with weird crap. Yeah, it just really is. All right, then, guys. Thank you for tuning in and making the show what it is. We love you, and good night.